Ahoy hoy! I am Planarwalk, and welcome to the Aftershow. Wotan isn't here yet, so I don't know if he's... I don't know, hopefully he shows up, because I'd like to continue a couple of discussions. Anyway, let me switch over to everything, and let me see what the chat is saying. People are saying, Wotan, you're repeating yourself. And yeah, a lot of it was me trying to explain that water conforms to forces. If gravity, if we can measure a force of gravity, then there's no reason why water. I like how Craig said, "Bro, Corona is proof that the world is flat." Wouldn't it be proof that the Earth is Corona shaped? Anyway, yeah. So essentially, a lot of it was me trying to explain that there's no reasons if we can measure a force between objects, there's no reasons why water wouldn't conform to that force. So, maybe he'll be able to get your question answered here without Super Chat. That depends if your question is towards me or Wotan. If your question is towards me, then yeah, I'll be able to answer it without Super Chat. If it's towards Wotan, then we need Wotan to show up before that. And it seems that there might be a few issues with the amount of data I'm sending out. I'm getting really bad connections for some reason. It's like trying to explain a car to a caveman. Yeah, kinda. The problem is that he doesn't use abductive reasoning. By the way, if anyone wants to come in the stream before Wotan shows up, then you're more than welcome to. He'll have to create a new account for Discord or something. Maybe I did. Maybe I laughed internally. Maybe that's what happened. So yeah. God damn, why? I think I need to turn down the. I think I need to turn down the quality or something, but I can't. I can't change the output during during a stream. I swear that. As soon as the coronavirus thing is over, I'm going to Holmes and saying, "Hey, look. The internet quality is just untenable, and it's not because there's too many. The bandwidth just doesn't work for me." Have you ever walked away from a debate with a flat earther and thought you'd actually got somewhere with them? Yes, So Flat Out Hero essentially. I had to explain to him that yes, a moon can cast a shadow that's smaller than the size of the moon, right? And I eventually showed him, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I can see that point." And that's one of the only times I've ever heard a flat earther concede a point. But I don't think that was. And I'm getting terrible connection quality. How is this? How is this possible? Before I had switched away from 2 degrees, I had perfect streaming internet. As soon as we went on Vodafone, it instantly is terrible. About it, say, hey, look, I'm trying to do work. I just can't because of the well, it's not that I can't. I try to, but I'm getting 0 kilobits per second. So it's I don't even know how much of this will be heard by the viewers because of the quality. Maybe I'll have to take intermittent breaks where I just shut off the stream so that everything can catch up. It's really, really fucking annoying. Did what? Oh yes, he did. I'll just limit the why not why not keep the conversation on ways to work out the shape of the Earth? Use Polaris, for example. Yeah, I can. I can do that. Let me just put the user limit down to 2 users so that only Wotan can join, because he doesn't want Fight the Flat Earth showing up. And I'll mention at Wotan Sharon. Maybe is I can use like someone else as a proxy to stream. That's probably the best way. That's probably the best way that I can actually continue to stream, because it's all right. Here I've got an idea, right? Got an idea. If there is someone that wants to act as a proxy to stream, so that I actually can stream, then you're more than welcome. Is there anybody that can do that? Is there any streamers in chat? So, Wotan or etc. always deviate away from ways to solve the shape of the Earth. Yeah, that is one thing that I've noticed. Like that. Like that's the big issue. It's all denialism. So when it comes to Wotan, it'll be oh, I deny it because of this, right? I deny it because of this, and this, and this. But when it comes to but none of them are actually about the shape of the Earth, really. So they'll say, oh, atmosphere. You can't have atmosphere without a container. And it's like, okay, that doesn't actually prove that the Earth is flat. And they say curving. It's like, well, I mean, in a proxy we can try and say that the Earth is flat, but it can always be like a circle with a bit like a big lake, with a big lake. It's and besides, there's a whole lot of ways that we can say, well, water will actually conform to the forces that are acting upon it. You have enough band with, but not any software. Software, like I use OBS. Like I could try and how would I wouldn't be able to have the exact same setup I have here. But I'm just trying to get you some help. People I deal with have a model and don't ascribe to that model that I put that they put forward. Yeah, like there's a lot of people that will kind of have somewhat of a model. Like you see this with Anthony Riley, right? You see this. So Anthony Riley will say something like density, right? And it's like, okay, let's follow this to the logical conclusion, like AB Science did. AB Science made a brilliant video which showed if it was just density affecting the if it was relative density that affected the way things fall, then you would expect things to fall at certain rates. But they didn't. A less dense object will fall at the same rate as a dense object, even though the air around it is the same density. Now, you could argue that there is a slight amount of density, or there is a slight difference, right? Which does create a... Yeah, you can argue that there is a slight difference, but the problem is that it's not really all that different. Yes, the smaller object, or the object with less, due to air resistance. That's the only reason, but it's not. doesn't make that big of a difference if you've got enough resistance. And Wotan is here. Ahoy hoy Wotan. And I don't know if he can hear me. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Got Wotan here, and one of the problems that we're experiencing is we're experiencing choppy streams or choppy output. So that is one of the problems that we're gonna have to deal with.
Maybe turn your video off.
That could actually work a little bit if I go to. Let me see what I can turn off. So if I turn off my camera, that I can turn off the YouTube chat as well. So hopefully that and I'll also turn off the Discord. I'll see if that works. If it doesn't work, then unfortunately we're just going to have to deal with bad streaming quality. So, we'll pick up with one of the things that some people mentioned is we didn't really actually touch on ways to decide the shape of the Earth. So what would be one way that you'd say to decide the shape of the Earth would be?
Right, that's the problem with flat Earth debates is, there's so much to consider with these debates that there's so much like correlative evidence and correlative debate points and the rabbit trail, and sometimes you wind up talking about nothing about the shape of the Earth. But what are you asking? Like, what would
you'd need to come up with a way that we can use to decide the shape of the Earth. Which way would you suggest we do that?
Subjectively, put me in a rocket ship and go up into outer space and see the shape of the Earth. Subjectively, objectively,
yeah.
Not everybody on Earth can do that. It's pretty difficult because
yeah, well,
the whole boat's going over the horizon meme is just, it doesn't prove the shape of the Earth because
why not?
That like what's his name? Plain truth, shows that has to do with refraction, and all kinds of atmospheric conditions can account for that. That's not, what's funny is Team Skeptic. I don't like to bring people's names up, but he says that in order for you to flat, you would have to show an observation that is only possible on a flat Earth but impossible on a globe Earth. Okay, well the same applies to the globe Earth then also. So you have to show me a proof that is only possible on a globe Earth but not possible on a flat Earth, and I've yet to see that. Boats going over the horizon is just they just go too far away, and that's it. You just can't see them anymore. You can't see for infinity. You can't see from here to France. You can't see from New Zealand to India. You know what I mean? It's just too far. That's the only explanation.
So
there's too much atmosphere, too much humidity, smog, pollution. Just so many different factors. Refraction. Water, heat.
So have you seen the Tampa Bay blink test?
Tampa Bay blimp test. I can name you 100, flat Earth observations. The lighthouses. This is the problem that I have with observations. I'm like, oh, well, did you see this observation? Okay, well, did you see this observation where you could see an entire mountain range from 300 miles away? Did you see that?
So
it's refraction. So it's just this whole refraction is just a meme. It's just they just regurgitate it. That's all it is. So it's just regurgitation.
Well, there is a blink test which would be impossible on a flat Earth, right? From Tampa Bay, and this Tampa Bay blink test shows the buildings being obscured by water. There is water between the buildings and the, or at least that's what is seen in the blink test. And it shows that when you're closer, you can see half of the buildings again. So, what would be your rebuttal to that?
Well, you're moving closer so you can see more of them. There's less atmosphere in your view.
So you actually
you're moving closer so you can see them better.
So you see water between the. So what you're seeing, what I've got on screen, I don't know if you've got the stream up, but what I've got on screen, what I've got on screen, if it's reached that point yet, is I've got water is obscuring the bottom of the buildings. That's what you see between the observer and the buildings.
There's water in between the buildings, so what? When you go closer, you see them more, so what?
So wouldn't that imply that the Earth is curved?
No, it wouldn't.
Why not?
Because, like I said, the more there's refraction involved, there's humidity involved, there's heat involved, there's all these different factors. Plain truth showed this in all of his videos.
So how do...
He said of water obscuring any object, because every single observation that he's made is because of just pollution. And almost impossible to really, because there's so many different factors that you need to take into account when you're talking about long range observations, that it's it's really difficult to really know what you're seeing and what you're not seeing, right? But the thing is, to me, it's I think it's more pragmatic from the flat Earth perspective, because it's if I the longest range photograph ever taken was in France, I think, or something like that. And this guy took a photo of a mountain range from a couple hundred miles, and it's in order for you to believe the Earth is round, you have to literally believe that what you're seeing is not there.
Okay, so why? Okay, so what calculations can you use to, or what? How would you describe the way that light is refracting in this image that I've got on screen to be?
I'm not gonna You're never gonna find me making claims to things that I can't verify myself. So, and now also just because I can't, I love to say I don't know. I'm sorry. I really do. I'd rather say I don't know than to say I do know and I might be wrong. So you're not going to hear me make claims about me saying that I know the refractive index of XYZ. I mean, well, I don't really know. You're not going to find me saying that, oh, I know how this operates. I know how the moon goes around the sun. I know how the sun goes around the Earth. I know this, I know that, when I actually don't really know. So I have a very pragmatic position towards the flat Earth. And when you look at, just one more time, when you look at the longest range photograph ever taken on Earth, which is I can pull it up right now. I think I have it, but whatever. Just for argument's sake, I think it's a little over 200 miles, something like that. Whatever it is. In order for you to believe that the Earth is round, you literally have to believe that what you're seeing isn't there.
So the problem is that I can describe how light will act to cause when it comes to refraction. Right, I know.
Can you address that? Can you address that one thing about the long range photograph?
Yep. So,
wait, what you're seeing is not real. That's exactly what you need to believe in order for you to believe the globe Earth. You have to believe in fantasy. You have to believe in. You have to suspend the most pragmatic.
Have you seen the?
Observe the Earth, and you have to just say, well, what we're seeing is fake.
Well, what we can say is well, the images that we're seeing have been subject to refraction, right? You wouldn't disagree with that, would you?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, sure. There's some refraction for sure.
Yeah. So
refraction, diffraction, all kinds of different atmospheric conditions.
Yeah. So we can say, okay, this image has been affected by refraction, and we can go, okay, this is how this image has been affected by refraction. If we were to cast physical lines out to the exact spot, it wouldn't directly match up with. It wouldn't directly match up with what we see in the image, because light, even though in a vacuum it will travel in a straight line, when it's going through a medium like air, it may be refracted slightly. So
affected slightly, okay, but do you see the entire mountain range though, man?
Well,
can you at least admit, even with the refraction and everything, can you at least admit that it's in line with Occam's razor to just say that if I can see something which is 200, 300 miles away in line of sight, isn't it a simpler assumption to just say that I can see it is because I can see it?
No, because otherwise we can apply Occam's razor to this right here. We can apply Occam's razor to this right here and say, well, because water is obscuring the bottom of the buildings, the simpler assumption is that water is obscuring the bottom of the buildings physically. That's the exact same. That's the exact same way of using Occam's razor. We'd have to come up with other assumptions that. We'd have to use other assumptions to go, okay, well, which way does light work? And I can demonstrate that light.
The thing is that we know that refraction is a thing, right? But what you're saying with the globe Earth is that you're saying refraction is this such an extreme phenomenon that it literally brings up an entire mountain range over the curve of the Earth, and what you're seeing, the entire mountain range of what you're seeing isn't real. Versus this photo, where just a little bit of the bottom of the buildings is obscure.
This is not
easily explained by refraction.
This is not a little bit of the buildings. This is like half of the buildings. Like if I go back,
no way.
What? Like if I go back to here on the, you can see that it's half the buildings are being being obscured. It's not just a little bit of the buildings.
Oh, I don't think I got you live right now. 1 second. Let me refresh the stream.
Yeah, it is. It is being.
Okay, well, that image right there, that looks a lot closer to me.
Yeah, this image is a lot closer now because they've actually moved closer and been able to get it.
You see how ridiculous that is, man? How could you possibly be on the side of reason? And use, listen, if you're going to make a claim about refractive index and all this stuff, you need to take that image from the exact same distance. You can't take an image from one distance. No, excuse me, let me explain. You can't take an image from, 2 miles away and say that, oh, well, you can't see the bottom of the buildings because...
No. You're misunderstanding. Hold up.
But then
Let me explain.
So, and then you say you can see it. That's just ridiculous.
So from here, right, like if I go to the... so here in the video where I've got it, when you can see the full buildings, that is at a certain distance away from the buildings that is closest, so that they can see the entire buildings. When they move further away, the curvature of the Earth gets in the way, so they can only see half of the buildings.
Don't you think that's begging the question?
How is it begging the question?
Because the refraction, we all understand that refraction is going to obscure at least a portion of...
Half a building?
Obscure? Make an entire mountain range appear from the bottom of the Earth?
We can calculate how that would work.
We could calculate how the refraction would work, how it would obscure half the building. Didn't you see Plain Truth's videos, how, like, he was looking over just a simple lake, and, like, you show the birds flying right over the surface of the lake, and you would literally like see the birds, like it would look like they were teleporting. It would look like they would go down below that certain point, and once they went below that certain point, which there was no water even there. So you have to understand, like, when you're looking at that long range photo, there's a portion above the water which is not really, it's not exactly what you're seeing, because when he showed that the birds flying over the surface of the water, they would go down a little bit and they would just literally disappear. But they wouldn't even disappear like near the water. They would be like, I can't even scale it, but just like, a 1 inch, 2 inch gap from the, in the 1920 by 1080 frame. If you were to measure it with a ruler on your freaking monitor, they were like a 1 inch gap, of space there, where if they went below that point, they'd literally just disappear out of the frame. They'd just completely disappear.
So
and there's nothing there. There's no water there.
Water
there. It's just air.
You said that multiple times. So
right, so it's like you can't use.
Yeah, I'm just saying you said that multiple times. So let me respond. So when it comes to that, right? Yeah, we can explain how that kind of effect would work. We can explain using, and we can go, okay, what would be the effect of miraging in this image? So if we were to take, or if I skip ahead to the, so if I were to go, what would be the effect of miraging in this image? And you can see there is a little bit of miraging, but that amount of miraging wouldn't put half the building under the horizon.
It didn't update for me yet. There's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, there's a bit of delay on my end too, unfortunately. Maybe I should just not... Maybe I should stop with downloading.
You could actually stream through Discord.
Yeah, but then I'm also...
a lot of bandwidth, probably.
Yeah, that would take up a lot of bandwidth to stream to Discord and to YouTube at the same time, so I'm just trying to...
Okay, so I'm on the image now.
Yep. So you can see that there is a little bit of miraging in this image, but that amount of miraging doesn't account for the amount of the building that's behind the horizon.
Okay, and there's also how many tens of dozens of other effects that are at play here.
Okay, what other effects are there, and how would they hide the buildings behind the horizon?
Listen, all I'm saying is, I'm gonna reiterate my point. The horizon is flat. There are objects beyond the horizon, which appear to be obscured by water. You're saying that it's round. Now, there's a lot of implications that go with that. You can't just
Like
claim
what
that
implications?
it's round. Like I said, I might end in the debate today. Like you have to prove that water can conform to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone. You gotta prove that an atmosphere can exist in a vacuum. You gotta prove that what's gravity. Gravity is the bending of space-time by virtue of matter alone. Just matter existing in space is causing a space, which is a concept. Kessler would tell you to your face that space is a concept. Space is not real. Space is a 100% concept. There is no such thing as space. It exists only in the human mind. You can't bend something that exists in the human mind. You can't bend something that exists in the human mind, such as time. Time can't bend concepts. I'm sorry. So if you can't bend concepts in your world, you can't really prove the Earth is. You really need gravity for that to happen, because then you have no way of explaining how the Earth is round to even begin with.
Then bending a concept. Space-time suggests that space and time are interlinked, and by affecting and basically mass will bend space-time, which I think. There's a lot of different implications, and we can measure this by if you go faster, by traveling through space faster, you actually slow down time for you. And people have actually, there's been tests done where they show, but that's going off topic. So let's go back to this. So you can't really, from what I can tell, you can't really show that. Show the mechanics that would cause half the building to be hidden over the horizon, can you? Show the mechanics which would cause half the buildings to be hidden by the horizon, can you?
I don't make claims to things that I don't know. I'm not a specialist in the field of understanding how refraction works and how atmospheric conditions affect you being able to see objects in the distance. You're not going to find me making a claim to something that I can't verify for myself. I'm sorry. All I say is I go outside, I see the Earth is flat and motionless. I don't feel anything spinning. I don't see anything moving. I don't feel anything moving. The Earth is the horizon is obviously flat. So the burden of proof is on you, and you need to prove a lot of things if you're going to tell me that not only is the round not flat, but it's round, and not only is it not moving, but it's accelerating through the universe at millions of miles an hour. It's spinning, and it's not only spinning, but it's going around this sun at 150,000, whatever, 66,000, conveniently 66,600 miles, 0.4 degrees, and the difference of that with 90 degrees is 66.6. Oh wow, what a coincidence!
So
and 550,000 miles, 2 million miles an hour.
I can give evidence for
there's
that.
A lot of things that's on your table.
Yeah,
need to prove.
And I can give evidence for that. So let's measure it. Are you familiar with what a fiber optic gyro is?
I am, and now you're going to cite that Bob Nodell.
Yeah.
That he proved that the Earth was spinning. Meanwhile, he has a valid explanation as to why that's happening. So,
wait,
I'm not going to speak on account of Bob Nodell.
Wait, what? He has a valid explanation.
Well, have you ever seen his recent shows of the counter argument to the globe earthers counter argument to him seeing why the Earth is spinning?
Okay,
why it appears to be spinning with the gyroscopic thing?
Okay, so let me ask, what is his valid explanation? Can you summarize it?
Well, why don't you ask him?
Well, you said that he had a valid explanation. I thought you'd be able to cite the valid explanation. Unless,
well, he says that it's detecting the stars in the sky spinning at the same exact rate.
Okay, and what evidence does he have for that? What evidence does he have for the gyroscope?
I'm not going to speak on behalf of somebody. I'm not going to do that. You're not going to find me doing that.
So
you need to ask him for that.
So you do know what he tried to do to minimize the impact of the stars. He put the He put the gyroscope in a bismuth container or something, and then sealed that container, and it still picked up a drift. So even if you try and shield it from whatever movement in the sky there might be, it still picks up a 15 degree per hour drift. So that is good evidence that the Earth is spinning.
I would agree, but I think I would agree that I would ask that you speak to Bob Nodell personally on that matter, and not me, because I don't know the workings of a what's the name of it? A gyroscope? What kind of gyroscope?
Fiber optic gyro. Although some people say ring laser gyro. It's
I don't know
they use
the workings of a ring laser gyroscope. I don't know with the atmosphere and with the light, with the stars in the sky. You're what you're doing is you're kind of like asking me questions to things. It's like you're asking a molecular biologist about their findings about House's paper that has nothing to do with molecular biology. Like I don't know how these things work. I don't know. I'm never going to make claims to things that I don't know again. And I'm not going to speak on Bob Nodell's behalf.
Yeah.
So you need to speak to him personally for that.
I don't know if you heard it, but John Rapp sent in a $2 super chat saying, you see things, you don't feel movement. Learn why. And do you want me to explain why you don't feel movement?
I know exactly why you're going to say that you don't feel movement, because you don't feel movement, you only feel acceleration. That's what you're going to say.
Yep. And
okay, but we are accelerating.
And do you know
as a matter of fact.
So do you know the amount of acceleration you should feel from? No, I'm asking you. Do you know the amount of acceleration?
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say what the globe Earth say is that they say that you only feel movement, not acceleration, but the Earth is accelerating. Okay, so what they say is, when you don't feel acceleration because we're not accelerating, but we do this little underhanded lie. They throw this little lie under the rug, and they tell you to your face that you're not accelerating, but you are accelerating. So you have to be accelerating.
So I am saying, what is the rate of acceleration that we should feel?
The rate of acceleration that we should feel.
Yep.
That's your math. That's your problem. I don't know.
Do you want to know the answer I got for that when calculating it for myself?
I actually used to. I should call my old job. I used to balance rotors for Navy parts, and I used to know the exact mathematical equation on exactly like when calculating the diameter and the RPM of the machine, exactly how that translates. I used to have the mathematical equations, and I freaking wrote them down, and obviously lost them. But I used to work there a while ago. But what I would say to that is, the diameter of the Earth absolutely matters in that equation. So you can't say that, the Earth is moving at 24 hours in one day. And then what they do is they do this another little underhanded lie, which the flat Earth does. It says, if you take a tennis ball and you see the Earth spinning, but hold on a second, the diameter of the tennis ball is far, infinitely smaller, nearly infinitely smaller than the circumference of the Earth. So it's not a proper analogy. So if you were to mathematically equate that, if you were to take the mathematical equations of how fast the Earth is spinning at the diameter of the Earth, which is 24,000 miles an hour or something like that. If you were to take that and you were to take how fast it's spinning, and then you would apply it to the tennis ball will probably be spinning around at hundreds of thousands of miles an hour.
So what I want to say is, to address that, is when it comes to it, I've actually worked it out using mathematics that I actually personally went, okay, they're not 100% correct. I used some trigonometry to work out, okay, how much acceleration should we feel? And I got an answer of 3 centimeters per second squared was the acceleration that we should feel on Earth. But you've got to keep in mind that acceleration is counteracted by...
that's one form of acceleration, standard. That's just the Earth spinning, correct?
Yeah, that's the Earth spinning.
Okay, well, you also have the Earth going around the sun. And then you also have the sun and the Earth going around the galaxy. And then you also have the galaxy flying through the universe at 1.5-2 million miles an hour. I forgot the exact figure, but it's somewhere around there. So you have a lot of different accelerations, which are happening at different tangents, at different angles, and at different rates. You would absolutely feel that. I don't care how feel it.
So each of those accelerations, they would get even more negligible to the bigger the size.
Isn't that funny?
So the Earth is the most.
If you were to add up, yeah.
So the Earth spinning would be the most prominent, right? After that, you'd have the Earth going around the sun, which would be even more negligible than the Earth spinning. And then you have the sun going around the galaxy, which would be even more negligible than the Earth going around the sun. And then you'd have the galaxy going around the Great Attractor, which would be even more negligible than the sun going around the galaxy. And the reason why these get more and more negligible is because, first off, for each one, there's a slower RPM. So when you've got something that's... The best way that I can describe this is when you've got something that is spinning or orbiting something else, then the velocity that it's going becomes more and more like a linear velocity rather than a angular velocity. So when you've got a tennis ball and you spin that at a high angular velocity, you know, it's not so much like it's going at the... It's not so much like it's going direct... it's not so much like it's going in a straight line because it's spinning very, very fast. Yeah, if we take like an hour time lapse of something, right, then if you of the edge of that tennis ball, right, then yeah, it's going to make a circle. If we take an hour time lapse of the Earth, then you're going to have a slightly curved line. If we take an hour time lapse of the Earth going around the sun, then that line will be even more straight. So that's what I'm talking about, if that makes sense.
I'm looking at it like, you know, you're taking all of these accelerations which are happening, which you admit are happening, and just adding them up, aren't you?
Well,
and it's going to result in an increase in you feeling this motion. You're gonna feel this acceleration. You can't just say that, you know, it's like a negative factor. Like the more acceleration at different tangents and at different velocities and at different angles that you feel, the less that you're gonna feel it. I think that's completely opposite reasoning.
Well,
that's ridiculous.
Well,
that's like saying that you're moving faster and faster in a car, but the more faster and faster you move in a car, since it's so much smaller, since you're only moving 1 mile an hour faster in the car every hour, the less and less you're going to feel it. No, you're going to feel it.
Well, if a car's going at a constant velocity, then you barely feel it.
No, but it's an acceleration, it's an acceleration.
Yeah, like if a car is accelerating, then you're going to feel it. But the car is accelerating, like generally it's something like 0 to 60 in like maybe 5 seconds or something, depending on...
Right.
Yeah, and so yeah, you feel that. We can put a number to it, and we can compare it to things like gravity, whereas a 3 centimeter per second acceleration is very 9.8 meters per second of gravity.
You know, a lot of this is where the pragmaticism of the flat earth comes in. Because in order for you to believe what you believe, like I go outside, I don't feel anything spinning. In order for you to explain that, you have to just invoke all of this, you know, magical, like, you know, oh, well, you don't feel it because, you know...
But it has been measured.
This is negligent moving because it's not moving? Or do you believe... What is the first thing that you believe? Well, just like the ancients believe, right? That's like that's the definition of pragmatism, like the ancients, what they believed.
Ancients didn't have technology.
Spinning. Right. Well, the Greeks also believed the Earth is flat back then. So
no, they didn't.
The certain period. No, they did.
Like 300 BC, the Greeks around about 300. I think it might have been 500 BC. The Greeks discovered that the Earth was a globe, and
no, they didn't discover it. They assumed that it was.
And after that, every civilization has thought the Earth was a globe.
With 2 data points, with 2 shadows, which doesn't prove that the Earth is round. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you that doesn't happen. So they didn't believe that they believed that the Earth was round. They didn't know that the Earth was round because they only had 2 sticks in the ground for the shadows. And Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you himself that doesn't prove that the Earth is round because you could also have a local enclosed sun. So besides the point,
it was boats disappearing over the horizon that they used.
Yeah, well, that can be explained.
And also eclipses.
Yeah, the limit of your vision and all of that. Eclipses doesn't prove anything. Sorry.
But every civilization. If we're going to appeal to history, like
I'm not appealing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like every civilization since the Greeks thought that the Earth was a globe.
No, I don't think so.
Why not? I'm actually curious. Like, what do you think? What civilizations do you think that didn't believe that the Earth was a globe? I may or may not disagree with you on some of them.
I mean, the Aztecs believed that it was flat. The who else? I mean, the Egyptians believed it was flat. There's countless civilizations.
I can agree. I can possibly agree with you on the Aztecs because they didn't have access to the information that the Greeks had, so they may have still believed that the Earth was flat. But when it comes to like every Western, not Western, every civilization in the area of the Greeks, after they discovered that the Earth was a globe, they ever since then.
Yeah.
We can both agree on that, right?
You know how we look at it. Like if it was so easy for these ancients to discover that the Earth was a globe, why on earth are we having a flat Earth debate in 2020?
Because of the internet, there has been.
Yeah. That's just like life. That's like fallacious reasoning. I'm sorry. Listen, people are not that stupid as you think. Like you like to think that people are just fucking stupid, and that's a lot of what the globe earthers like to believe. That they like to believe that flat earthers are just stupid and they don't research and they don't know anything and this and that. I think that's just it's more like an appeal to. I don't even know what that's an appeal to, but it's just not an argument. I'm sorry.
Well,
it's just not.
Well, let's get back to you had a point that you're bringing up earlier about oh yes, we should feel going around. We should feel the Earth spinning, right? So I have a question that I wanted to ask you about that. Do you think we should be able to measure it, because it has been measured? You do realize that?
Measure what?
The acceleration due to the outward acceleration due to Earth spinning.
The acceleration due to Earth spinning.
Yeah. Like the centrifugal force that is 3 centimeters per second squared due to Earth spinning has been measured. Do you know that?
No.
Okay, so are you familiar with Wolfie 6020?
Is that the pilot?
Yep. What he's done is he's taken a weight from somewhere close to the equator, and then he's travelled, and it changed by, I think, point something of a gram due to that weight. And it changed by, I think, point something of a gram due to, and further from the equator, because the Earth spins faster at the equator than it does anywhere else.
So, as the globe earthers say, they also say that science doesn't prove anything. So, that alone still doesn't prove anything.
It's evidence. It's evidence.
Yeah, exactly. It could point to the notion that it may be spinning, but there's other variables that we don't even know that exist to be taken into account that could account for that.
But it's been repeated. One of the aspects of science is repeatability. The more time something has been repeated,
right. But the repeatability could be due to the fact of this unknown variable that we don't know. But
do you have an explanation for this unknown variable?
No, I don't. I don't think I need one. I could just say that you globers say that science is not a tool to know whether something is true or not. It's just something to know whether something could possibly be true. So in that case, there could be variables and there could be unknown variables that we can never imagine that could be taken into account. Just like the ancients used to believe that spirits caused the flu, and they had no idea about germ theory and all this stuff. So
So when it comes to
there's things that they don't even know that could be taken into account. Yeah.
So you do realize that your point of Occam's razor would apply here. So your explanation is an unknown variable. My explanation is an acceleration that would be because we can say, okay, yeah, there's probably less acceleration at this point because of something like the spin of the Earth, which is far less assumptuous than saying, an unknown variable. You got to
no, because there's ramifications that come with that. There's implications that come from that. So if you're going to say that the Earth is spinning, now you have to find some kind of way of how the water is going to stick to the exterior shape by virtue of gravity alone. Then if you're going to say the Earth is round, you're going to have to make a claim on as to how an atmosphere can exist in a vacuum. I would love to hear that one, which is not due to electromagnetism and not due to the electromagnetic attractive nature of plasma, which is absolutely freaking ridiculous. I think even you can agree that when Fight the Flat Earth shows his little demonstration of plasma being attracted to electromagnetic forces, it has absolutely, positively nothing whatsoever to do anything with the nature of how the gas in the atmosphere is interacting with gravity.
Well, there's a lot of things that you're pointing out. So when it comes to the plasma thing, that plasma is hydrogen. So you do realize that it's a fusion reactor that they're trying to get working, and so they've got to fuse hydrogen. Basically, they're trying to recreate the sun in a. Essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to recreate the sun. So when it comes,
they think that they're trying to recreate the sun, but I don't think we know the nature of the sun. But besides the point, yeah, again.
Yeah, but when it comes to going back a few steps, so when it comes to the whole thing with the Earth spinning, that isn't the only evidence. Like, it's not like the only evidence is the. It's not like the only evidence is what I brought up earlier when it came to the. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. The different weight differential. The other evidence was, as I said, Bob Nodell's ring laser gyro. You've also got. Have you heard of Foucault's pendulum?
Right, which is a mechanical device.
No, it's not a mechanical device.
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
How is it a mechanical device? How is it a mechanical device?
Man, you know, sometimes I work in papers, man. I had a PDF. I had a whole PDF from the manufacturer of these Foucault pendulums. Let me see if I have it in my folder. I really hope I do. I had a PDF file.
But people have created Foucault's pendulums.
Excuse me. I had a PDF file of the manufacturer of the number one leading manufacturer of the Foucault's pendulum, and it explicitly states that it's a mechanical device.
But there's. I mean, it depends what it's defining as mechanical device. I've known people that have.
There's all types of gears and levers and things inside of it that they don't show the general public, obviously, because that if it's a natural force, if the spin of the Earth is causing it, why do you need all these gears and pendulums and levers and switches and all that shit? But that's exactly why it's operating. That's exactly how it's operating. It's a mechanical device.
So I know people that have gone ahead and built their own Foucault pendulums. So I do have to take their word for it a little bit, but it's not like whatever it is.
You can believe all you like. I'm not saying you can't believe. You can believe anything. You can create the universe. You can believe anything. That's fine.
But it's not like that. Like, you can create your own Foucault pendulum at home.
Cool.
And people have done it, and they've gotten to do with the cosine of your latitude, I think it is, something like that, and that's the rate that it will spin.
And your frame of reference is what?
What do you mean? Your frame of reference is what?
So in order for you to do this Foucault pendulum, you have to have a frame of reference which is outside of the spinning Earth in order for you to prove that the Earth is spinning. But what if you have this Foucault pendulum on top of the spinning Earth? You don't have a what's it called? And
you do have
independent frame of reference.
Yes, you do. You have an inertial frame of reference from the pendulum moving, and you have a rotational frame of reference from the Earth moving.
Right, but you're assuming that the inertial frame of reference is moving.
The inertial frame of reference is moving. That's the pendulum.
That's your hypothesis. That's what you believe.
That's this has been tested multiple times, and we've gotten a value that is the cosine of the latitude, which is exactly what you'd expect if the Earth was spinning. Like, Foucault pendulums do not work on the equator because when you're on the equator, it's like, there's no you don't have that second frame of reference.
Sorry.
I can also bring up Coriolis if you want, which is another fun one.
Yeah, that's another fun one.
Like Coriolis is another evidence that the Earth is spinning.
Oh wow.
So
why don't planes take into account for the Coriolis effect?
They do though.
No, they don't.
Like if
you ask any pilot on the face of it, they'll tell you. So.
Like if you were to fly north, right, you would you'd start to veer off track. Like if you were to just go directly north, you'd start to veer off track, and this is because of the Coriolis effect.
And if you travel west, you would be traveling dramatically slower, wouldn't you? Well, actually, faster, dramatically faster.
Not really. Like I did not erroneously really. Make that.
You have the spin of the Earth going against you, and you're going to travel not really faster. I think that's a little.
So the reason why is because it's all dependent on the speed at takeoff, right? And how far up you're going, because the Earth is so big.
So you're assuming that it's spinning, and then you're assuming because it's spinning that when it takes off, it doesn't speed up when it's traveling from east to west.
Well, when it's traveling from east to west, it's they might counteract.
No.
It's massively
dramatic.
No, it's massively
dramatic.
We can try and calculate this if you'd want.
But you're assuming that the Earth is spinning, and you're begging the question, assuming that the Earth is spinning at that rate.
We can
automatically, and your initial assumption, you're assuming that it's spinning.
Well, no, not really. It's like, okay, even if it is spinning, we're not going to be able to have a big difference in the of the Earth alone. It's actually going to be more affected by jet streams.
Like what's more in accordance with Occam's razor in that aspect? Like if I take a globe and I spin it and I show a 5-year-old, how an airplane is moving from New York to California, and I tell him which way is it going to travel? Is it going to travel faster from New York to California or from California to New York? He's obviously going to tell you from New York to California is going to be dramatically faster because you have the spin of the Earth going against the speed of the plane, and it's going to increase. It's just you just add the spin of the Earth.
But
the spin plus the speed of the plane.
Wait,
what you believe?
You're asking
a fairy tale religion.
You're asking a 5-year-old
which is fine. But no, that's pragmatism. That they have the most pragmatic things that you can possibly. A 5-year-old will ask you questions that no scientist on the face of the Earth can ever answer. That's number one.
But I wouldn't go to a 5-year-old for my scientific answers.
No, if I'm going to go to what I'm saying is I'm asking 5-year-old because they have the most pragmatic views of the world that you can possibly imagine. A 5-year-old will as the world's leading astrophysicist on the face of the Earth, a 5-year-old will ask Neil deGrasse Tyson questions that he can't answer.
Like what? I'm curious. Like what questions would a 5-year-old ask Neil deGrasse Tyson that Neil deGrasse Tyson wouldn't be able to answer?
Are you kidding me? There's so many questions. Don't you know that kids ask the simplest questions that nobody can answer? They ask the most pragmatic questions. That's why is this? Why is that? They ask the best questions, kids, and you just get to the point where you're like, kid, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Give me any example, like any example right now.
Why does you tell them, why don't you fall at the bottom of the Earth? It's because of gravity.
Yeah, like if they ask why doesn't a person fall off the bottom of the Earth? Yeah, there's an.
And then you say gravity, and say and then they say why gravity? Because space and time are being bent by matter. You think they're gonna buy that bullshit?
Oh, so you're thinking of the Y game. I actually watched a video of this last night by Vsauce, and the
fraud. Stupid it is. How he completely misconstrued and misrepresented the flat Earth belief in his video on the flat Earth. Did you see that? He thought he was assuming that flat Earth is believed in gravity. Number one, he assumed that flat Earth is like they knew that gravity was a force being attracted by mass, and then he said that if you're on the edges of the Earth, the gravity is going this way and that way, and if you go towards the center, but no, none of these flat Earthers believe that bullshit. So he's completely misrepresenting the flat Earth.
But he did that's generally. I find that's generally due to when you because I've seen heaps of people being the worst one was what's his name, that white nationalist. Or apparently he's not a white nationalist, but he's Stefan Mullnuts. Have you heard of him?
Newmats? No, I haven't.
Oh, his actual name is Molyneux, but I call him Stefan Mullnut.
I know him. Yeah, I know him.
He was confronted by a flat earther. Stefan just wasn't getting their arguments. And it was just one of them things where, because he hadn't ever heard of the flat Earth belief before, it was one of them things where it's like, okay, he clearly does not understand this, because if he understood this, he'd be able to actually have some.
He hasn't done any research into it, right? Just like Vsauce, and he releases a video that gets like 5 million hits.
Yeah,
he makes a shit ton of cash off of his ignorance.
Yeah, like one of the things that you quite often get is you get people citing the Flat Earth Society, right? And most flat earthers that I know will say, "Oh, the Flat Earth Society doesn't speak for us."
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's. There is things due to some things being mainstream, and so not all beliefs are the Flat Earth Society, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, this is what Flat Earthers believe, but when you talk to someone like yourself, you're not going to use the same arguments that the Flat Earth Society.
Have you ever see whatever comes up? It's always the same Mark Sargent video. It's always the same documentary. It's always the same. The first page is always the same exact thing. They never change it.
Yeah, but anyway, let's get back to...
because they don't want you to know. Why did they do that if it's so true?
It's because of popularity. Like, this is very simple to be.
Right. Because they don't want people. They don't want people questioning things. That's why. Because
no, it's because of
they want to control what you think. They want to control what you think, and they don't want you.
It's because of It's simply because of popularity, right?
Absolutely. Flat Earth content.
It's because of popularity. The most popular videos related to Flat Earth come up first when you search Flat Earth, right? Is there a
Do you not understand that YouTube themselves have said that they're censoring the Flat Earth?
They're not putting it in people's recommendations as much, but it has as the keyword there is as much. AB Science did a brilliant video on this where I don't
see it on my recommendations at all.
Where he actually managed to go down a rabbit hole and actually get Flat Earth videos recommended to him based on the algorithm. He actually did
wrong about this. Actually wrong, because
why?
when you put up Flat Earth, right now I just did it. Put up Flat Earth, the same Mark Sargent video, ABC News, inside a Flat Earth convention, right? But then when you filter by view counts, which is literally popularity, there's a Flat Earth video from Vsauce, just 20. I said 5 million. Excuse me. That is 29 million views. So it's not based on popularity.
There's a few things, like the Vsauce one is older than a lot of these newer videos. Well, it's a little more than view count. So there's things like watch time to take into consideration. There's also how long ago it was uploaded. So like you can see here, like this one here, Jake Bird at the Flat Earth conference was 2 months ago, right? And it had 1.2 million views. But the one that's here, Flat Earth versus Round Earth Explorer, that has 3.8 million views ago, that was 1 year ago. So it's kind of measured against that. And as you go further down, the views will drop if they're longer. It's really down. There's a couple of different metrics here that go into it, but whenever someone like Professor Dave uploads a video and you search it, it immediately is right up at the top. And I've done this before. Like Professor Dave uploaded a video that got, I think it was like 40,000 views, and immediately it was right at the top. And then it slowly just started falling down as everyone had watched it, and yeah. Oh, yeah, here it is. 10 challenges for Flat Earthers 1 month ago by Professor Dave Explains. And that, when it came out, it would have been right up at the top there. It's really down to popularity, and you can do this with just about anything. If I search Planarwalk, right? You get.
So what I'm saying is Flat Earth has been around, for a while on YouTube, and every single time that you put Flat Earth into YouTube, it's always the same video at the #1 spot. It's impossible for that video to be that popular for that long.
So when I search,
I know how metrics works. I stream myself. Okay, I'm not stupid. Okay, when you put in Flat Earth, it's always the same video from a year ago. You're telling me there's not a single video from a year ago that has better metrics than this video that's a year old already. It only has 2.1 million views. Vsauce's video has 29 million views.
Well,
let's see when his video was put out.
There's a lot more than there's a lot more aspects to it. Like, nobody truly knows how the algorithm works. It just but those are
it's view count. It's view count. It's upload date. View count versus the upload date.
Upload date versus watch time.
Watch time is also a factor, yes, but I would say
and
count,
actually,
view count and versus the time that it was uploaded. If you get a million views and then the day after you get that video is going to be fucking skyrocketed.
So there's upload. It
doesn't matter how long they're watching the video.
So there's upload date, right? There's watch time. Some people will assert likes and dislikes, but I generally think that there's like, we can account. Maybe it does account for that, right? But another one that I know is a big factor is the general popularity of the videos uploaded by that channel. That's why when someone like Professor Dave uploads a video on YouTube, it immediately is right at the top, because that's far more popular for that channel.
I don't know about that one.
There's a lot of aspects. So like, as one person says, Google AI decides. Praise Google AI, and it's a little bit scary that Google AI has...
Case in point, YouTube has literally explicitly said themselves that they're censoring flat Earth content and all other conspiracy-related content. I would love to ask,
censoring.
why hasn't YouTube censored the football? Why is that not censored?
So, first off, it's not censored. It's just not being recommended to people.
Why
as
is
much.
it not? That's exactly what I'm saying. Why is it not censored? Because who the hell cares if somebody doesn't believe in the sport of football? It doesn't affect the general the consciousness awareness of the entirety of the civilization.
I mean,
the flat Earth is
not that popular though. Like
right, because nobody believes it, because it's bullshit, because it's stupid. Who the fuck would ever believe that football doesn't exist? You could just go outside and throw a football from one person to another person.
I could also
you're playing the game of football.
Like, I think they're also cracking down on like other general conspiracies, like lizard people. Like lizard people to me is the most.
I think they'll be promoting that, because that's just complete stupid.
Like, lizard people is the most ridiculous conspiracy to me.
Exactly what they think.
And
they want people to be stupid. They want people to believe that aliens and the lizards are controlling the Earth, but they don't want people believing that the Earth may be flat and motionless as we observe it, as we see it. And they don't want people believing that, because if people believe that the Earth is flat and motionless, like I was an absolute 100% militant atheist. I was, okay. I'll say this till the day I die. I don't care.
So I'm just
once I came across the flat Earth, I started believing in it and created it. Yeah.
I just want to ask you a small question. Were you one of them? I used to be a bit like this. Were you one of them, like, edgy atheists that would be like, debate me on atheism or something, like I used to be?
No, I never debated anybody atheist. I would only talk about.
I used to be a bit like that, but I've calmed down since then. You know, that's what watching too much Amazing Atheist will do to you. Don't watch too much Amazing Atheist, guys.
Yeah, no, I was not a binge watching Dawkins back then. I loved Richard Dawkins back then, and Christopher Hitchens. I love Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris. And I honestly agree with them a lot of their religion. I think religion is total bullshit. Yeah. So one, you used to know that I'm not religious at all.
Anyway,
a biblical flat earther, but I just.
Yeah. Anyway,
the one proof for me to prove in a creator that there's a creator of some sort is absolutely the flat Earth. There's nothing else that proves that there's a creator besides the flat Earth.
Yeah, I want to get back to the topic at hand though. Like, we've gone way off topic, because first off, whether someone's censoring something or not has no bearing on whether something is true, right? You'll find a lot of times that people will try and censor something that is, or whether the Earth is flat or round.
Right, but I don't believe it's harmful for people to ask questions about the nature of the world that we live in.
Yeah, like, I'd agree that it's not harmful to ask questions, just as long as you're doing is asking questions. Like you'd agree that someone like what's his name, Mark Sargent, is probably doing the flat Earth movement a disservice by making claims that are ridiculous. Would you agree with that or not?
Yeah, I actually said that in the debate today that I disagree with flat earthers making claims that they can't show with an experiment themselves. Like they claim, how the moon works and how the sun works and how this works and how that works, but they don't to prove what they believe. That's another problem I feel that flat earthers have. That's why I have a very pragmatic, simple approach to the flat earth. I go outside, I see the horizon is flat, I don't feel anything moving, therefore the burden of proof is on you to prove that the earth is not flat and that it is moving. So that is all that I would. That is all that I will ever say with the flat Earth, and that's it. I'm not going to make a claim about how the moon's going around, where the sun is, how the sun is moving.
Yeah, you said that. So yeah, when it comes to people like that, they might, like a flat earther might say, this person is spreading harmful misinformation about the flat Earth. They need to be censored or something. Now I haven't heard of any flat earthers that do say this. Generally, flat earthers tend to be anti-censorship, except for some people who will censor people in the comments. But that's just a general rule of thumb. You might, just because something is being censored has no bearing on whether it's true or not. Like if that was true, then flat earthers censoring people in the comments would mean that globe earth is true. So
no, I never said that just because YouTube is censoring flat Earth, that means that flat Earth is true. I'm just publicly saying that it's specifically censoring flat Earth and conspiracy videos when all flat Earth is doing is simply asking questions about the nature of the universe that we're living in. It's harmless.
Sometimes they're also making claims. They
can make claims. That's fine, but it's not harming anybody if they.
That's
fine.
I'd disagree.
You make claims that you cannot back with scientific scrutiny.
I'd actually disagree with. I'd actually disagree with the fact that it's not harmful to anyone. Like there is some questions of whether Mad Mike Hughes was actually a flat earther or not. But you can say some people would say that it did harm him because he died from it.
Of that story, honestly.
But there's also
I definitely do.
Yeah, but you can also point to
Let me just say this, because it's fucking stupid, because how high was his rock? I think his altitude of his rock was 5,000 feet. I mean, you could just go in an airplane and go to 40,000 feet. Why would you?
Well, the
5,000.
So
it doesn't prove anything.
Yeah, like
you could just go in an airplane and go 40,000 feet, eight times higher.
Yeah, so the steam-powered rockets, they weren't intended to reach the Kármán line. There was a rocket that he was working on that was intended to reach the Kármán line, and that I think. The issue there is that probably would have killed him. The rocket that would have reached the Kármán line would have killed him by lack of oxygen or something.
Also would have killed him. I wouldn't go in that fucking thing.
They were more of. I'm not actually sure why he launched steam-powered rockets. Maybe it was just as. I think it's probably just as Daredevil, because it was widely reported that he was a Daredevil.
Right, that's what I'm saying, because what he's doing, because I'm pretty sure that the rocket that he died in was, the altitude of it was 5,000 feet. What are you going to prove in 5,000 feet? If you can't prove the Earth is round at 40,000 feet, what are you going to prove in 5,000 feet? So I think the whole thing was just 100% a pure propaganda skit just to make flat Earth look ridiculous. And
but then you've also...
I don't believe a single thing about that story at all.
But you've also got other people, right? Like I can point to Nathan Thompson, who I think his life has been negatively affected by flat Earth. Now, the reason why I think his life has been negatively affected by flat Earth is because he's been kicked out of multiple states. I think he's not allowed in multiple states because of him taking it overboard of spreading flat Earth. And there's
states? Doesn't he live in the UK?
I thought he's been kicked out of multiple states in the US.
He lives in the U.S. He's got I don't know where he lives, honestly.
Like, I know that he's
the UK or something. I don't know. I never thought he was from the United States, honestly. And his stream times are usually in time with Europe. He usually streams pretty early.
Yeah, well, my stream.
I don't know.
My stream times generally seem to be in line with Europe. When I'm not going on modern day debates, I usually have a stream time that's in line with Europe. So. It's hard to use those kinds of... He's probably trying to reach the European audience, like what a couple of other people try to do. But yeah, like, I believe his life has been negatively affected. Like, he's ended up in jail a couple of times by going overboard, like by hanging around school kids trying to hand out pamphlets. Wouldn't that be negatively affecting his life?
Sure.
Yeah,
I can give you examples of how globe earthers are their lives are being negatively affected by them trying to prove that the Earth is round. You know, it's not an argument that
okay. How?
You can agree that this doesn't prove whether the Earth is round or flat,
how?
Right?
How? So, well, I'm just wondering.
What are we arguing about?
I just want to know how globe earthers' lives have been affected, negatively affected.
Well, maybe, you know, the stress that Fight the Flat Earth has when he's irate and yelling at Nathan Thompson increases heart rate to a level where he's unhealthy. You know, it's just, you know, you could get really pedantic about the details.
Okay, yep, I can.
But this is not proving whether the Earth is round or flat. It's just, you know, we're going to la la land.
Yeah. I was just
talking about. Like,
I was just curious about that. I'll actually agree. Yeah, sometimes there are unhealthy things that people do. And I can probably give more examples.
You're going to go stress, you're yelling at people, you're screaming, you're yelling, you're fucking, you know, like, you know, whatever. You know, it can negatively affect you in any way.
Yeah.
And it's not an argument, though. It doesn't mean whether it's round or flat. It doesn't mean
and I'll agree. That's why we should probably get the topic at hand, because I did provide different evidences that the Earth was spinning. Like, I
could provide different evidences that it's not spinning.
Like?
Do you feel anything spinning?
I'm not going to put feelings over facts, my dude.
Facts? Okay, well, I thought there's no facts in science because science doesn't prove anything.
It's a meme. I was using the meme like you're talking about feelings rather than facts. But like
it's not an argument though.
Yeah, I was making a joke. God damn it! Don't ruin the joke. But you know, I'm not going to take I'm not going to take my raw sensory data over something like a measurement that has you know, a measurement is much better to me than raw sensory data because sensors can be fooled. Our sensors were actually specifically designed for the Earth as it is. So using our sensors aren't going to tell us, oh, we're spinning because I can feel this the small deceleration when I'm on the equator compared to when I'm at a pole.
I understand that, but as I said before in the debate today, that you really can't use measurements to prove anything either way, because, I mean, you could use it mathematically, you can't use it to prove the universe and the cosmos and such, because as I said earlier, we've been perfecting this mathematical equation for the gravitational constant of big G since, you know, Cavendish, and we've been using that mathematical equation to prove the effects of how fast the stars of the other galaxy should be moving. But oops, you know, we were wrong about that. So you know, measurements and mathematics doesn't always apply to everything, and that's when we start needing.
So it depends on its predictive power. Evidence. It depends on its predictive power.
I need empirical evidence.
So
that's my burden of proof.
So like it depends. It completely depends on predictive power. Like if we can have something like Foucault's pendulum, right? We can go, okay, I will predict that this should spin at this rate, right? Because of this mechanic. And if it's... And we can move it around, and that would be our independent variable, would be the latitude. So we could have it on the equator and go, okay, if it's on the equator, it should experience no spin. And we have it on the equator and it doesn't spin at all. We move it to one of the poles, and then it's spinning at 15 degrees per hour. Well, in that case, we've had predictive power to show by using that Foucault's pendulum should work. We can do the exact same thing with a ring laser gyroscope by Bob Nodell, by saying, okay, there will be a 15 degree per hour drift in the ring laser gyroscope. We find that there's a 15 degree per hour drift in the ring laser gyroscope. That is more predictive power. We can use predictive power of ballistics when it comes to firing a ballistic projectile north or south, and we find that it will slightly...
Marines do not take into account the Coriolis effect.
Yes, they do. There is document...
Okay, now you're gonna cite submarine. And I'm gonna cite submarine, and he's gonna say that he never ever used the Coriolis effect whatsoever in any sniper round that he has ever fired in his entire life. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna cite some other marine who says that he did, and then we're just left, with nothing at the end, right?
Yeah, I have
The net result is nothing, because you have some guy who says that he's used Coriolis effect in his calculations, and I know some guy who's never used Coriolis effect ever in his calculations, because it's ridiculous, because there's so many variables that you need to take into account to fire a sniper round. Rifling of the gun itself, the type of ammunition that you're using, the height, the angle that you're shooting at, and there's so many. Even the temperature. There's so many different variables that you need to take into account. That's why a sniper is never alone. A sniper always has a spotter. The spotter is always doing those calculations for the sniper. The sniper just takes the shot off. That's all he does, honestly. Okay, so there's so many different accounts, and now you want to put in also the spin of the Earth and throws equations. It'd be impossible to hit anything at that point.
Well, you've got to take into consideration the spin of the Earth, because if you're firing north and south, I'm not too sure about east to west firing, but you've got to take into account of it. You've got to take it into account, because this will help you hit your target. In fact, there was one time, I think it was in World War II, from someone bringing it up. It might be Fight the Flat Earth. I don't see audio with you. Let me see if I can turn my mic down. So yeah. So let me know if that's better. When it comes to the balance, when it comes to firing World War II. So I think it was the ship had missed a lot of shots at another battleship because they didn't account for the Coriolis effect, and they should have hit a lot more if they had have accounted for the Coriolis effect, and it was due to ballistics, because they were firing things on a ballistic trajectory.
So you're just assuming from you're just assuming that it would have been more accurate 70 years ago in World War II. Like it's just ridiculous, man. I'm sorry. There's just no evidence. It's not sufficient. I'm sorry.
I mean,
you're just assuming. I could show you.
No, they would have had to
use.
They would have had to use. They would have had to account for Coriolis even more back then. Because if you've got a Coriolis effect affecting things, then they didn't have the ability to steer missiles. And even nowadays, they'd have to correct for Coriolis on a battleship. But it's just that back then we had a lot more wars to go off. We could say, oh yeah, there was a sea battle or something. Had far more wars to go off back then. So they did account for it. They just had they had manuals for the northern hemisphere, not the southern hemisphere, according to Hugh Jarsz. They have documents to account for it. It's not like there's
documents to account for what, that they were missing targets. Maybe they were bad shot.
Well, there was. They missed a lot more shots. They missed far more shots than they should have, and they actually did they did something. I can't remember exactly what it was, because I haven't researched this heavily. But I do
you're saying
remember
that people in World War II 70 years ago, they were missing more shots back then. Today, don't you think that's an advancement in technology and in the slides of the guns and
it's not all people. Hold up. It's not all people that were missing back in World War II. It was a particular battleship that had manuals for the northern hemisphere, right? And they're in the southern hemisphere, and they were missing shots because they were using the wrong calculations of Coriolis for where they were. And if they had been in the northern hemisphere, it would have been a lot better, because they would have hit their targets a lot more.
So you're saying bullets are affected by the Coriolis?
I think it was not missiles, some kind of probably actually some kind of missile or rocket. I know that it was a ballistic, something ballistic. It was
people shoot cannons straight up into the air, and it literally almost lands in the barrel of the cannon. Can you explain that?
Well, it depends how far up into the air it's being fired. Like,
it's cannon. It's extremely powerful.
yeah, but how far up is it going?
Pretty far up.
Is
I
it
don't know
going
how far up, but pretty far. How come helicopters? If you just have a helicopter standing in the air, how come it doesn't just fly over to China? You can just stand there, can't you, and not move?
Because
and you just be in China eventually.
A helicopter is not. A helicopter will, when it goes up, it's still got that momentum from the Earth. You'd have to wait a long. You'd have to wait a long time before the Coriolis takes it to China.
Globe. I'm sorry. Just that's the problem I have with the globe. You just assume too much bullshit. You really do. It's just amazing.
One person says
you just assume that because the Earth is round, is that because it's not going to move. Now, the more pragmatic, the more simpler assumption, the assumption that's more in line with outcomes there is a helicopter when it flies up in the air and all it's doing is producing lift. The reason why it stays there is because the Earth is not moving. That's the simplest explanation that you could possibly come up with. There is no simpler explanation. I'm sorry, there just isn't.
So, are you willing to watch a video that says? The Sean G linked a video in chat saying saying that it was a sniper gunman shows the Coriolis force. Do you have time to watch that video? You'll hear the audio coming through.
Yeah.
All right. So let's watch this video. Sorry, I'm basically stealing your content, Sean G.
Helicopters are powered. Coriolis doesn't apply. Yes, it does apply. It's ridiculous. It's just power producing lift. That's all it's doing.
Okay, God damn it, it's a 30-second intro. Okay, so let's skip to here.
Now, real quick, let's kind of just explain.
That's your fake bowl Earth right there.
Terms. The Coriolis effect is the effect.
That's what we're doing right now. Meanwhile, I'm just chilling here. I'm not even moving.
The barrel of the gun, it is actually leaving the surface of the Earth. So as the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, the Earth is still rotating, and the bullet is not rotating with the Earth. So the Earth will actually rotate out from underneath.
I don't hear the audio though.
Oh, you don't hear the audio?
No.
Guys have
okay, let me rewind it because I'm fairly certain that the audio should be. Maybe. Hold up. What am I using? Am I using speaker audio or? I am probably using speaker audio, not the. Give me a few. Ah, yeah, that's it. I'm using speaker audio. God damn it. Let me just switch to this. Here we go.
Now, real quick, let's kind of just explain the Coriolis effect in layman's terms. The Coriolis effect is the effect that when the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun,
no video now.
Actually leaving the surface of the Earth. So
well, the video isn't too important right yet.
Barrel of the gun, the Earth is still rotating, and the bullet is not rotating with the Earth. So the Earth will actually rotate out from underneath of the bullet while it is in flight. Issues guys have when collecting data to either build a drop chart or a ballistic compensator like we use on our systems. We field hundreds of calls a month where guys cannot re-verify their data once they've shot it one day and go out and try to return the same data, let's say a week later. And one of the common issues that we see is the Coriolis effect. And what guys are not doing is taking into account the effect that this can have on your shooting at longer ranges. So as the Earth rotates, it actually rotates from the west to the east. So what that's going to do to our targets is if you're shooting west, your target's going to rotate up and towards us, which is going to cause the bullets to hit lower. And if you're facing east, the target's going to be dropping and slightly moving away, which is going to cause the hits to be higher. Now, why this is important is out to 1,000 yards, you could have almost a full minute of correction due to Coriolis effect, depending on which direction you sighted in your zero. Now, to show you guys just how much effect there's going to be, we're going to put on a little shooting demonstration here. I've got targets east or west and east of us, exactly 1,000 yards in each direction. So what we're going to do to prove this Coriolis effect on our rifle here is we're going to shoot it out to 1,000 to the west, and we're going to shoot it to 1,000 to the east, and we're going to measure the difference in those group centers. Alright, got 3 hits on the steel down there. We're going to switch directions, switch the bents over, and we're going to shoot east now. Alright, we got 3 more hits on this steel down here. Now we're going to rack up all our gear. We're going to go check these out, measure them up, show you the results. All right, we've made it down to our target that we shot at the west. This is our west target here. And as you can see, they've all dropped in quite low. We've got 8 inches from center to the center of the group, which is a little lower than we expected, but we were dealing with some pretty stiff mirage. So we got a nice little group here. We're gonna pack up this target and head down to our target that we shot to the east, and we'll compare the 2 groups and show you the difference of just switching directions. That's all we did. We switched from west to east. All right, we've made it down to our target on the east target now, and as you can see, they're not quite too high. We've got about 3 inches, maybe 3.5 to the center of the group above bullseye. So if we compare this to our other target, we're 3 inches high here, we're 8 inches low there. That's 11 inches, just over a minute of difference between just shooting from the west to the east. Now, how does a minute with this 7 LRM that we're shooting at 1,000 yards is worth 70 feet per second if you were trying to develop drop data?
Okay, so essentially, yeah, that shows the Coriolis effect, and I think there would.
So you believe this video?
I mean, why wouldn't you? Like,
well, it's heavily edited from before the shot and after the shot. You have no idea what happened before. The problem that I had with the evidence that Team Skeptics showed, and the guy putting the fishing weight on the scale, like under the scale, and but there's like so many edits that you have no idea what happened in between the edits. You have no idea what alterations, what this guy did before and after the edits of each and every single individual shot. You have no idea what latitude he was at, what longitude he was at. You have no idea what direction he was actually facing. He's just telling you what direction he was facing.
Would you rather he just
not a scientific experiment?
Would you rather he just go ahead and be like, okay, we're gonna walk all the way down to this one, and then we're gonna walk all the way down to that's 1,000 yards, mate.
What do you mean walk all the way down? Why would you walk all the way?
I mean, I suppose you could take a truck, but it'd still take a while. Like it takes me. It'd be waiting here for another 5 minutes at least, just watching him walk, and no one's gonna watch.
I mean, it's just funny how the people who claim to be on the side of reason, the only thing that they ever cite as evidence is heavily edited videos where anything can happen in between the edits of the videos. He literally could have taken. Listen, excuse me. He could have taken the shot, and a year later, he could have taken the other shot. You have no idea what happened in between the 2 edits. You have positively, absolutely no idea what happened in between those 2 edits. You have no idea.
Yes, that's why peer review is a thing. Like that's.
Is this video peer reviewed?
I'm assuming that there'd be other people.
No, it isn't.
I'm assuming that there'd be other people that can corroborate it. Like if we.
It isn't peer reviewed. Number 1. Number 2, it's not a scientific experiment. Number 3, it's a heavily edited video that you have absolutely no idea what happened in between the edits, and it doesn't prove anything to begin with because science doesn't prove anything, does it?
Yeah, okay, here's the problem. I never say that science use proof in a sort of layman's term. When they mean when they say proof, what they actually mean is that it's providing evidence for this, right?
Evidence where you just have to believe that it's true. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous how you could just believe an edited video and use that as virtue. as proof of the Coriolis effect.
Here's the
That's
thing.
just so stupid.
Here's the thing. You haven't.
That's just so stupid.
No, you
How
haven't.
could you believe something like that?
You haven't. Have you done this experiment?
Have you?
No, but until you've actually done the experiment,
you've got no Sharina.
No, until you've
just believe it.
Until you've done the experiment, you have to rely on what other people say about it.
People, Globe Earthers what Globe Earthers do. They like to vilify the flat earthers because they did YouTube research. Well, that's exactly what you're fucking doing.
Okay, Sean,
you're just going on YouTube and you're using a random ass video on YouTube and you're using that as your YouTube philosophy, your YouTube PhD as proof of the Coriolis effect. But when we do it, when we find a YouTube video of a helium balloon going to 120,000 feet up in the air with no curved eye lens whatsoever, and it shows that your horizon is flat and motionless. Oh, we can't use that, but you could use this fucking fake ass video from some Joe Schmo redneck from the middle of Alabama to prove the Coriolis effect. You're full of shit.
So Sean G has said that he has peer reviewed it.
Are you a scientist? Are you a peer reviewed scientist?
I mean, it's kind of
what the hell is peer reviewed at that point? Would you peer reviewed? Were you out? Your Budweiser buddies smoking a blunt in the backyard?
Where you do the exact same that someone else do the exact same experiment that someone else did to see if the data lines up.
That he was at the same wind speed, the same angle, the same direction, the same latitude, the same longitude, the same absolutely. You were in literally the exact same spot. The molecularly same exact spot that redneck from Alabama was. That's exactly what.
Review is important.
And again, you just believe the Sean guy. You just believe everybody.
That's why peer. Like what you literally said.
The omni-believers.
No, what you literally said right there is the reason why peer review is important. Like what you said there.
The atheists are the omni-believers. Atheists are omni-believers. They believe everything. Atheists believe everything in the entire world.
Hold on.
They like to pride themselves that they're skeptics, but no, they're wrong.
Atheists
believe everything.
Hold on. Let me respond to you because you made a so. You do realize that the points that you brought up right there, like saying, did they do it at the exact same, in the exact same conditions? That's why peer review is important, to do it in different conditions. Like if you get...
And you just believe this guy just because he said in a YouTube comment video that he peer reviewed it, you just believe him.
Am I going to distrust everyone? Am I going to Of
course. That's the basis of science. That's literally the edifice of science is to question everything. You don't believe shit until you can prove it yourself. That's the edifice that is the epitome of the scientific method. That's literally, excuse me, that is the slogan of the Science Channel. You understand that? Question everything. That's the slogan of the Science Channel. Question everything.
Not accepting experiments that other people have done is not the basis of the scientific
method. You're just believing that the experiments that they did were valid. You're just believing them again.
It's called, you use peer review.
You're just trusting them. You have faith that they believe, you have faith in them. That they did the experiment the exact way that you believe they're supposed to do the experiment the exact way that they're supposed to do the experiment. But you have no idea how they did the experiment.
That's why people do peer review. That's why peer review
Peer review what? Because this guy, Sean G, because he's shoots deers in his backyard, and he's a Budweiser drinking redneck from Alabama.
Denial debunks all science. Ignorance.
And what he's saying is real.
So the reason why we've got peer review is if someone does something, and you got to remember that Sean G used to be a flat earther.
Alberto, congratulations.
So when it comes to, I'd actually believe Sean on the other side, you know.
Oh wow, cool! I used to be on the other side also. I used to be a global militant.
Yeah, that's what.
I used to be. You have no idea.
That's why I actually prefer to use flat earther experiment.
My word for it. That's another fallacy. Also, you're just appealing to. That's another fallacy.
But we could, what we could do is we could, I could possibly find other
to their credentials.
Like we could try and find other videos. It would take a while, which is why I'm not. That's why I'm not too keen on doing it right now. But we could try and find other videos and the exact same experiment, right? To see if there's do the exact same experiment to see if there's
Listen, it's simple. Fight the Flat Earth. No, not Fight the Team Skeptic shows me a video of proof of gravity. Do you know what he shows me? He shows me a video.
I know exactly what video you're talking about.
Excuse me. From the I want to say for the audience, from the 1960s. Now, obviously, the time frame that it was taken, it doesn't matter, but I'm just throwing that in there. A video from the 1960s where this guy puts over a some type of apparatus to detect the weight that's above it, right? Okay, but then before he puts the weight on, there's an edit. After he puts the weight on, there's an edit. Before he puts the apparatus to detect the difference, there's an edit. After what happened in between those edits, you have no clue. And on top of that, conveniently, when he puts the weight above the apparatus, they zoom in only to the digital display. They don't zoom out to show that the weight is above it, and we're showing that 1,000 gram difference, which is just stupid.
There's a reason why they do that. There's a difference why they there's a reason why they do that, because you know, I can actually pull it up right now.
Listen. Atheists are the omni-believers. Atheists believe everything in the entire world. They believe everything except for God. Atheists, they're the omni-believe.
I disagree with the
pro-government. They're all pro-government. They're all pro-vaccination and pro-fucking everything you can fucking imagine. Everything that's on TV, an atheist believes it. That's their God. The TV is an atheist God. I don't know a single atheist in my entire life that when they watch TV, they believe every single thing that they fucking see on TV.
Because otherwise, I disagree with that, because I don't believe that. I don't believe everything that I see on TV.
Sometimes they pride themselves like they're skeptical. They're not skeptical at all.
Sometimes
atheists are anti-skeptical.
Honestly, sometimes I cringe at the misinformation on TV. Like, I don't believe in everything that I see on TV. Sometimes
complete anti-skeptic atheists. This video right here.
Yeah, like this video here. Like, I know, as I said, I know the video that you're talking about, and you know, there's a reason why there's different camera angles, so they can get the like.
But why not just show the whole thing unedited? Isn't that better?
No,
show
because
the display. Why? Oh, why? Because you want to just believe everything. Why not just display?
Because
have it at a certain have camera at a certain length where you can visually see the display on the apparatus, and you can see when he puts the weight under it, when he puts the weight over it, when he does it. But look, now you just see this and you just believe it. You just believe everything.
So ideally what you'd do, right, is you'd have multiple cameras, and they did have multiple cameras, and what you'd have is one camera in one corner, one camera in another corner, one camera in another corner, something like that, right? 4 cameras, each taking different angles, just try and give you the full picture. But you know, sometimes I'm not sure exactly if they'd have the ability to edit it in that way back in the time that it was shot. So they probably just
Excuse me. You're appealing to the fact that they can't edit a frame.
When was it shot? When was it shot? You seem to have an idea of when it was shot. I said I don't know if they have the ability.
It appears to be at least in the late 1960s. It appears to be.
19 when?
Maybe the late 60s, early 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s. Did they have the ability to edit?
Do you know that all it takes to edit a video is to stop a video and then change whatever is in the frame and then just start the video again? That's all you need.
They have the ability to edit a video to the point where you have 4 cameras. I'm just asking. Like, this is not a.
Of course you can.
Back then. I can do it nowadays, easy.
Listen, have 5, 10, 11, 1,000 different cameras. It doesn't matter how many cameras you have. Okay, because you could just literally just stop all the video from all the cameras. You didn't even need to stop it. You could just not put the video that's the final video, and you could just take that out, and you can just remove it. And you can just put whatever you want.
You are missing the point. You are missing the point.
I'm a streamer
myself. No, in the point, dude. Like, let me
That's it.
No, let me re-explain. So the reason why they had different cameras so that they could get different angles, right? And so they had one camera zoomed up on the display to show you the amount that it increased by. They had one camera focusing on the ball to show you that to show you exactly how it's moved. So you know, maybe the person touched the weight, and that could have caused a problem.
I need to make this as simple as I possibly can. Okay, don't interrupt me. I need to make this as simple as I possibly can. You have no idea how easy it is to edit video. If I have 1,000 cameras pointing at a single object, a ball, let's say, and I have a hypothesis that the ball changes to the color purple in oxygen, it just does that automatically. That's just my belief. I have a hypothesis that steel balls. And I'll put a magnet to it to show that it's made of steel, that it has iron in it, okay? I'll have a hypothesis that steel balls, they turn purple. They just turn purple. Okay, I have 1,000 cameras pointing at that steel object. Okay, then I just turn off the fucking video of every camera that's pointing at it, and then I just replace the steel ball with a purple ball, and then I just start the video again. Oh, wow, I'm a fucking genius, ain't I? Wow, how hard was that? How hard was that?
No,
but you make it seem like it's so difficult. It's not difficult. It's so fucking easy to fucking do it. So, I don't understand why you gotta appeal to this incredulity all the time. And you're like, oh, well, it's so difficult. It's so fucking easy to do it. You just fucking
So here's the problem with... So here's the problem. Like, the problem that we're having...
I don't understand you. How easy? It's so easy.
Okay, so let me explain to you what I'm... the video here. But what I'm asking is whether they've been able to edit the video in such a way that has all that information, like, to show, oh, it increased by a point...
What all information?
So the increase on the scales is really important.
All they had. Can you play the video again? All they had was before they put the weight on the video, they had one value on the digital display, which was like, whatever it was. I don't remember the exact. Well, let's say for example 1,000th. When they put the weight under it, they show it's another 1,000th of a gram heavier. Okay, wow, big fucking deal.
Yeah, but
you're telling me that you can't put the edge of a needle on the edge of that scale and just show the digital display only and just make it appear as if there's just one micron of a gram heavier?
Looking at this, where's the digital? Where's the display of the? Looking at this right here? Where is the display of the of how heavy it is? Where is it? Show me.
The digital display.
Where is the digital display on this image right here?
And that's another contention I have with this display is on the other end of the frame, which is weird. You see that? Pause that right there. You have the digital, not digital. You have the display of the apparatus. Now it's on the other side. Why is it on the other side? You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's
on the other side of the apparatus. Why come they can't just show the fucking display on the face? Why would you do that? And why does that make any sense?
There's a number.
Why would you show the back of the? It's like me trying to prove something I'm trying to prove the power of an engine of a car, and I'm showing you the trunk.
So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Like,
because you just believe everything. You're the omni believer.
Okay, okay. Why would they lie about this? Right? This is easy to reproduce at home.
Now I got you to the why. Now you know that your reasoning for you believing this video is faulty. Once you start why they do it, once you start getting
faulty.
Why they would do it, now you understand my reasoning. Now you understand.
I don't think true skepticism.
How do you just believe this? You just believe it. Believe.
You're not using true skepticism. Like
I am the biggest skeptic you could ever meet in your entire life. There is no bigger skeptic than me. You're not gonna find. You're not gonna find the biggest skeptic than me.
Skepticism is okay. Let me just say because whether or not you're a skeptic is irrelevant though. But I just want to say that skepticism is not just.
I don't believe shit until you show me. Period. I'm not gonna believe no fucking stupid video on YouTube as proof for anything that shows. Oh well, the force of gravity is real because of a heavily edited video from the 1960s. How stupid is that?
I mean, just because something's edited doesn't mean that it's real. You could actually go ahead and reproduce this at home.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that you just said it yourself. It doesn't mean it's real.
Just because it's edited doesn't mean that it's not real. My bad.
But you just did a Freudian slip right there.
Well, it's because you've been saying, you do know the whole idea of if I ask you to spell shop, right?
Can you and tell me that I can't fake this video right? I can't do this exact thing right now with the video. I'll use a 1960s camera.
No, the question.
You're telling me that I can't replicate this.
The question. Could you replicate video, right? Or could you replicate the effects seen in this video? That's more the question. And
sure, absolutely. I'll tell you exactly how I'll do it too.
Okay, how?
Okay, I'll show this frame right here. Right, you have weight, the fishing weight. That's a fishing weight. I used to be a fisherman. That's a fishing lead weight, probably 1 pound, under the being hung from that apparatus, which is detecting the weight, which is probably extremely sensitive, right?
Yeah.
And then you have that steel ball there, which is supposed to gravitationally attract that fishing weight down towards it, which is the hypothesis. Okay, so I have that at one frame, and I record it. Okay, then I stop the video. And then I start the video, the next frame. I have the steel weight, and then I start the next video, right?
And I show the display.
Excuse me, I'm telling you how I'm going to fake it.
No, I didn't ask you to fake it. I said to reproduce the effects.
But that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm reducing it.
You're reproducing. So
No,
here's the thing.
I'm telling you how.
The question is, no, I'm not asking you to fake it. I'm asking you, can you reproduce the effects? Like, if you can reproduce the effects here, then not
the effects by faking it.
I'm not saying reproduce the effects by faking it. I'm talking about reproducing the. You're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying, can you reproduce the effects that are shown in the video? Because I can guarantee you that probably there's probably someone out there that's been like, yeah, I'm going to reproduce the effects to see if that lead weight is really being attracted to the ball, right?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You're saying you can't fake it. I'm saying you can fake it. How can you possibly say that you can't fake this?
I'm not saying that you can't fake this. I'm saying, like, have you gone ahead and reproduced this experiment yourself?
So if you can fake it, right, then how can
be fake? Like,
thank you very much.
Like,
Thank you very much.
I could be fake. You could be fake.
Exactly.
I treat you as...
I know I'm not fake subjectively.
But I treat you as real because saying, oh, you're fake is not constructive. Now we can say, okay, we can say, okay, I don't believe the validity of this. And if you don't believe the validity of this, you know what you have to do then?
What?
The same experiment that they've done, right?
And reproduce it, but fake it.
No! Faking is like, no,
it's not. What don't you understand, buddy?
No.
Listen to me.
You're not understanding it. If you think, okay, no. You're getting everything completely wrong. You're getting everything completely wrong.
I can fake this. It's very easy to
No,
fake
it's not about whether it's faked or not. It's what if you want to see if it's. Here's what the question is: is it valid? Like, does this experiment work? Right? And so if you question the validity of this experiment, because yeah, of course you can fake this. The question is whether the results that they're getting are conducive to reality. So when you do that, you then go ahead and set up the experiment. You don't try and fake it, right? What you've got to do is you've got to try and replicate what they're doing. Now, if you replicate what they're doing and you get that, oh, this wasn't faked. If you don't get
now you get into the world of variables. Count in that scenario, right? Because number one, you have no idea what conditions this guy is in that room. You have no idea if maybe his door is open. Listen to me. You have no idea if this guy's door.
Why you trying to look?
The draft hit the weight and it made the weight go down 1 micron of a gram, and that's exactly what that.
Yeah,
that
like
shows.
it could be to make sure that kind of thing.
Has this been peer reviewed? Has this thing been peer reviewed? No, but now you're just going to law.
Here's the thing. I don't know if it's been peer reviewed. I'd assume that it has been peer reviewed. But
Team Skeptic himself admitted that this is not a scientific experiment.
Well, you can peer review this if you want. If you question the validity of this, right, go ahead and peer review it. You know, maybe there is some confounding variable
do you understand how arbitrary you're making the term peer review is? Now, while you're doing it, you're doing is you're just saying peer review. I could just hang out with a bunch of my friends and just smoke.
No, when I'm talking about peer review, what you do is you try and replicate the experiment, and sometimes there may be faulty variables. That's why, or there may be a fault in the experiments. And there's been people have gone ahead and peer reviewed it using better methodology to peer review it. Maybe the door's open. That's why I urge you, Wotan, to try and do this experiment for yourself. You know, go to your local.
I don't care about your claims.
Go to your local
university. Your claims.
No, because you're claiming that it's fake. So what you should do is you should go to your local university and try this experiment for yourself.
Excuse me, I'm not claiming. Okay. Yeah, it's very easily faked, and because it's so very easily, blatantly faked, and you listen, I'm gonna record it. Okay, I'm gonna go back into the timestamp. You said that this couldn't be faked because of all the camera angles that they had.
I'm not saying that it couldn't be faked.
If you're gonna go on record saying that, I'm gonna prove to you. It can take a lot to do that.
I'm not saying this can't be faked. What I'm saying is that there's an effect that they're observing. There's an effect that they're observing here. What I'm saying is that there's an effect that they're observing here that would be pulling the weight down, and you can go ahead and try and replicate that. Now, if you cannot replicate it, no matter how hard you try, okay, then you can say, well, I couldn't replicate that, right? And then it would be on me to, then the burden of proof would shift to me to replicate it, and I'd have to then go ahead and replicate it myself to show why your replications were incorrect. Do you understand that?
All I'm saying is that you can't use video evidence. This video evidence is not a scientific experiment. So the burden of proof hasn't even been met to begin with.
I mean...
So that which can be admitted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
As a demonstration
if it's not a scientific experiment, it's not evidence. I'm sorry.
What criteria would you have as... What is your criteria?
Don't show me a heavily edited video. And not only is it edited, but it's edited at the most crucial portions of the video. The time...
No,
yes, it is.
It's not.
Don't tell me that it isn't. Yes, it is. Okay. Listen, I edits it before before the steel ball is under the weight. He edits it after he puts the steel ball under the weight. He edits it before the ball is under the weight. He shows the display. He edits it after he puts the ball under the weight. He edits it. Every little the most crucial portions of the video. He does not show him putting the ball under the weight and showing the display being changed at the lie because it's bullshit. That's why. That's the reason.
So the reason why it's edited, and I think someone actually pointed this out. Yeah, John Rapp said it's a demonstration for educational purposes. They did not make the film to prove anything to idiot denialists.
Scientific experiment. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm just going to go.
Thank you very much. It's not a sign. Yeah, you could ding what you want, just like skeptic and make yourself look stupid.
Well, I said idiot, so whenever I say idiot, I've got to hit the ding.
That's not gonna help you, buddy. You're losing this argument. Try to make it look small. But
so the thing is, like, they didn't. Here's the thing: they weren't thinking of Wotan, the superior skeptic, when they made it. Was to demonstrate, okay, this is what happens when we, do this, right? And I'm not sure where this video quality. I'd assume that it's being shown at some kind of in some kind of physics, maybe graduate thing. And you do know what they try and do with physics graduates, right?
Indoctrinate them.
Well, physics undergrads. They don't try and indoctrinate them. They actually try to get the physics undergrads to replicate the experiments for themselves. Maybe you could. Here's the thing. Maybe you can try and become a physics undergrad, and I'm sure you'd be able to learn physics, right?
Learn about the fake science, about fake space bending fake time.
No,
which doesn't.
You do know what physics. You do know what an undergrad.
You can't.
I may be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure undergraduate physics doesn't talk about space-time. I'm pretty sure that would be higher than undergrad.
Video, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure
that's what's happening in this video, isn't it?
Well, they're not trying to claim that this shows space-time. Like, this would be undergraduate.
It absolutely is.
No, they're not saying, and because of this, space-time is curved. They're just showing, gravity, at least in the Newtonian sense, is a thing.
Right, and that's what gravity is. Gravity is the bending of space-time. Gravity doesn't work on the planetary scale.
It doesn't work on the solar system. It doesn't work when you get to high amounts of gravity.
You see what I mean? Newtonian gravity doesn't work on the solar system scale.
Einsteinian
gravity doesn't work on Einsteinian gravity doesn't work on the galactic scale. And now, since it doesn't work on the galactic scale, and now we're gonna have some other fake scientists come along and say, "Oh, well, it works on this scale," and then we're gonna name this form of gravity after him, and then it's just full of shit.
No, it's like we can measure things to do with gravity. Like there's Cavendish. There's things to do with Cavendish.
No, you can't.
I can. Okay,
it doesn't work.
AB Science is probably asleep right now, but he.
It is. It doesn't work.
He gets his undergraduates every year to. They did do general relativity in undergrad. Well, I can get a physicist on here if you want. What's being done is you've got Cavendish being done every
in the 1700s. Yeah. Wow,
no, you got Cavendish being done every year by different people. Are you telling me that all these people
did they take every variable into account?
What variables would you say that you need to take into account?
There's countless variables you need to take into account with the Cavendish YouTube, where you put into the Cavendish experiment into YouTube, and then you look in the description of the video and you see people that are irate at how frustrating it is to get the Cavendish results, because if they move, God forbid, I see in one video where the guy, he got up, he had the apparatus all set up and everything, and he got up so that the draft that was created by his leg caused the apparatus to move. And he was irate. He was so mad because of that. Because now the whole test is full of crap now. Because now he has to reset the apparatus. He has to make sure it's absolutely not moving anymore. So he has to do the whole thing all over again. Because God forbid if he even walked near the apparatus, it totally set off, because that little draft of wind that was created by his leg totally set off the apparatus.
And that's why you take into electromagnetism and to also shield it from things like a draft.
How are you going to shield it from electromagnetism in a place?
Static electricity was where it was what it was shielded from. They actually showed that when they put a thing that was charged with static electricity and they put it up against the case, the balls didn't move at all. But when they removed the case and then took this rod that had static electricity on it, you saw the balls move heaps.
Cool.
So they were accounting for static electricity. I'm not sure what kind of shielding it is, but you can shield from electromagnetic fields. You've got heaps of things that you can take into account that people have taken into account when reproducing it. It doesn't just because.
And this is the best video that you got to prove it.
Well, it's a video that's somewhere on my hard drive. I'd have to look for it and change the way the stream's set up. But
listen, this is the video. When I got into a debate with Team Skeptic, this is the video that he showed to prove gravity. So this is just absolutely absurd.
But there's more than one video that demonstrates gravity.
And then he also showed the water in the ISS. That doesn't prove gravity either.
I'll agree that it doesn't prove gravity.
Okay, so you're agreeing that Team Skeptic was wrong.
Hold up.
Excuse me.
No.
I'm not gonna let you go on.
Let me refine my.
Skeptic is wrong.
Let me refine my statement.
You're agreeing that Team Skeptic is wrong.
So let me refine my statement.
You're agreeing that Team Skeptic is wrong.
My statement is for what you particularly want. And that is because I saw the debate, and I know what you particularly want. And you water conforming to an object due to gravity, right? Now, right. Team Skeptic wasn't showing that. He was showing water conforming to an object due to
cohesion, adhesion, the water adhesion. But he was using that as proof of gravity, and he literally.
I don't think they used it as proof of.
Ding! Look, this is water adhering to the exterior shape. Ding! No.
It was water adhering to the exterior of a shape.
What's funny is when you go on Wiki and you put in cohesion, you know what the first image that they show you is? They show you an image of an astronaut in space showing water in a sphere, which has nothing to do with gravity. It's under the definition of cohesion and surface tension. You understand that? Even Wiki would tell you that.
But usually what people would use that as...
the exact thing that he showed you. They're using the exact thing that he showed you. He's showing me as that's proof of gravity, but Wikipedia is saying, no, that's not gravity. That's cohesive and adhesion.
I don't think he said that it was proof of gravity.
To do with gravity at all. Yes, he did, because that's what I asked about proof of gravity.
Okay, timestamp when he said that it was. I'm gonna turn down the. Okay, we're gonna go down to. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to change the bit rate to be 1,000 kilobits per second. Apply. Okay, I'm going to stop streaming so that the stream will catch up, and then I will continue to stream. Okay.
Right here. So you want the timestamp? I got it right here.
Okay, give me the timestamp when teams. Give me the time. So here's the thing. I want the particular team's
I'm gonna link it in your Discord right here. Yeah. Where do I put it? General party room?
Just put it in voice text.
I'll put it in your chat. I'll put it in your YouTube chat here.
Okay, do keep in mind that it may filter out the link. So you'd be better to put it in Discord. Like, voice text is the place that generally people put it. Okay, so is this where he said that the water is... Let me.
He said there's gravity. He repeats himself. He said there's gravity here.
Okay,
He repeats himself incessantly.
Okay, let me see if this is what you're saying.
You might need to go back 5 seconds or so, but that's it.
From 1996 to 1990. And I'll unmute as soon as this...
Oh, wait, 1996.
Yeah, that's when I was born, dude.
Well, of course you can't do it on Earth, you idiot. We have gravity here. We have gravity here, right? Right. Again, you want to straw man. You're going to straw man the...
Okay, so when he said we have gravity here, he's meaning we have gravity on Earth. He's not saying...
No, but this is in the ISS. But now you're postulating.
He literally... So
but you didn't watch the whole thing, did you? Why didn't you watch the whole thing? Put the whole thing on stream.
Like, so let me repeat... Yeah, I'm going to repeat it.
Play the rest. Don't just assume what he said. Don't just postulate what he said.
Of course you can't do it on Earth, you idiot. We have gravity here. We have gravity here, right? Right. Again, you want to straw man. You're going to straw man the... You're going to straw man.
You're anti-science.
Wait, all right, well, let's let him present his case, though, Wotan.
Yeah.
So, did you...
No, keep playing. Keep playing.
Okay.
He's about to explain himself.
This right here is in space. And watch.
Yeah,
so put a camera on the inside of it. Water adheres to it, just like they asked.
Thank you. Just like I asked, right?
But of course...
That's what I asked.
Yeah, he's showing that water adheres to it.
Listen, if you're going to sit here and tell me anything otherwise, you are the most disingenuous person I've ever talked to.
No,
he is saying that this is because of gravity. He says he repeats himself incessantly. This is gravity. This is gravity.
Wait, is he going to say that it's because of gravity?
How much more evidence do you want? He says it incessantly himself.
Like, I'm assuming that we haven't gotten up to that point yet. Is it in the...
Play it. You play it.
Okay.
Play it all day.
You've already heard him.
Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that because it's in fucking space. What the fuck is this going on?
Sorry.
It's in space.
Sorry, you haven't proved the first experiment, so therefore this is totally fake. I mean, obviously this is fake.
Your first experiment was a straw man, bro. We already talked about this. We
No,
don't
it's not
have
a straw man.
You can't go back to
do.
let's not go back to that one. Let's not go back to that one. Let's not, please.
I told you, man. He just...
I beg
You cannot
of you,
have air pressure in a
please.
vacuum. It is the definition of pressure that has to be in a container.
Let's not go back to that one.
You're a moron.
I mean, we could talk about it another time, but just to keep going on this path, this new path has been a good one as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's all I needed to share right there. Exactly what he asked for.
Exactly what I asked for. And what do I ask for?
Stop sharing it.
I asked for water adhering to the exterior shape by virtue of gravity. I've been saying this thing. I've been saying this for 3 years, 4 years at least. That's all I ever say. I never change my argument.
Now,
okay. So if you're gonna say that I say otherwise, and then you're gonna say that he's addressing something that I didn't say, I'm just gonna you're just full of shit. Okay.
Now,
that's exactly what I asked him.
Exactly
what I asked him. In my opening statement, I said I want evidence for the adhesion of water to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone. And this is what he shows me.
Yeah. So
this is not gravity.
Yeah. So when it comes to something like this, I'm sure even Team Skeptic would like if I were to get Team Skeptic in here right now. Although he's probably
he's going to recant his position. He's going to change his position, and then he's going to say he didn't say that, and then he's going to say, oh, well, you took. And then he's going to say, oh, he's going to make every excuse in the fucking book.
I'm pretty sure he will say that
evidence for gravity.
I'm pretty sure he will say that it's not evidence for gravity. It's just he was just showing that water can adhere to the outside of a shape. But
that's not to gravity. What are you talking about? I'm saying to gravity, buddy. Are you stupid?
Yeah, like maybe he missed. Maybe
I don't believe that water adheres to objects. I have water in my glass right now. It's not adhering to the inside of the glass.
Maybe he misheard you and thought that you just wanted water adhering to the exterior of a shape.
I'm just gonna leave. You're full of shit. You're full of shit, buddy. You're full of shit.
That's
you can't admit, because you listen to me. You have a YouTube channel. People, what it is with you, when people with YouTube channels, they have an agenda. Number one. Number two, they have a personality. They have a brand. Okay, and also they're being held accountable by other people who also have a similar brand to them. So if you Fight the Flat Earth watches your video, or if Team Skeptic watches your video, and they catch you admitting to the fact that one of them is wrong, you're gonna have a problem with them, aren't you? So that's exactly why you're being full of shit with me right now. Okay, you're not being honest with me.
Okay,
you're being full of shit. And you're lying to me. Okay? So don't fucking lie to me. Right now.
So I will freely admit that it wasn't that this didn't address the argument of show me a show me water sticking to the outside of an object due to gravity alone.
That's exactly what I've been asking for 4 years.
And what
Never
he was
changed my
likely
argument ever in my life.
And what he was likely demonstrating, or what he likely felt that the argument was show me water sticking to the exterior of an object. But that's not my argument. Yeah,
I said by gravity alone. I said specifically. You want to go to the beginning of the video and you want to see my opening statement?
Where was the opening statement?
Go to the beginning of the video and watch my opening statement. It's the same thing as today. I've never changed my opening statement once.
Because I'm pretty sure it took a while to get in. Because I did watch this recently.
Let's get right to the questions. I have 3 questions that I'd like to ask.
Right.
Mr. Team quote-unquote skeptic, non-skeptic, science denier. Do you have evidence of air pressure without a container? Air pressure in a vacuum without a container?
Well, you might need to fast forward a little bit because
because do you have the timestamp of where he said?
I don't. Okay, I don't. I pulled up the timestamp of him being fully showing the water around an object due to gravity. I'll find the timestamp for you again.
Okay, that'd be a lot better than me just playing. Oh, not there. And Bad's on channel. Are you talking about Wotan or are you talking about James, like from Modern Day Debate? Like the channel is Modern Day Debate. If you're talking about James, Wotan, do you have a channel?
No.
Okay, so Wotan doesn't have a channel. One of the things. This is way off topic, right? But one of the things that it's kind of difficult to do is like. I guess I'm used to saying, I guess I'm not used to something like Wotan, and so I usually say Wotan, not Wotan, like, although saying Wotan would probably be a little bit weird to me. So I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Righty, I got it.
Okay. What's the timestamp? I know it's going to be before 1990, so... one person says... I'm just reading the chat. Wotan literally dismisses any video photo evidence because it could be fake.
Yeah, I put it in the chat.
That... seems... Okay, maybe it's just really close to when... Okay, hopefully this...
The exterior of a shape, do you have any experimental, any scientific proof whatsoever besides your presupposition to prove in an experiment that water can adhere to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone?
Thank you.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll pull that.
Is that enough for you? How much more proof do you want?
Okay, I can fully admit that that Team Skeptic probably... here's my thought. Like, Team Skeptic had probably heard people claim this before, right? Because people do claim, can you show me water adhering to the exterior of a shape, right? And they don't include they don't.
The gravity part. You're omitting the gravity part.
Yeah, and that is what a lot of...
Why do you do that? Why can't you be honest?
No, I'm just saying that's what a lot of flat earthers say. Flat Earth... No, I'm being honest. I'm just saying that flat...
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're being full of shit with me.
There's flat earthers that
You're being disingenuous. You're playing semantics. You're playing word games. You're not including what I said.
Can you let me finish? Let me finish. Let me finish, right? So there are flat earthers out there that will say water can't adhere to the exterior of a shape. Now, they don't include
what I said.
Yeah, I'm just saying they don't include the by virtue of gravity alone. Now, Team Skeptic probably heard that and went, all right, I'm going to show him.
No.
You know,
I've debated. And then now you see how you're assuming?
No, I'm just saying, like, this is probably what happened.
You're just assuming his position. You have no idea what his position. You're assuming his position based on your predisposition. Based on your bias. This is
probably
you're assuming his position. And you're trying to make him seem justified in his position.
No, I'm just saying that
Why can't you be honest with him?
This is what I'm thinking that Team Skeptic probably
because you have a predisposition.
It's based on
you can't go on record on channel admitting that Team Skeptic is wrong.
No,
because you're scared of the ridicule.
So I can actually I can give reason why Team Skeptic jumped the gun there. The reason why Team Skeptic jumped the gun.
Idiot. He's an idiot.
Okay, hold up.
And Nathan Thompson proved that he's
Let me just go. Even you get to use the dinger. So Team Skeptic probably wouldn't like that though. But anyway, the reason why is he probably jumped the gun, and you can see how quickly he jumped the gun. I suspect that he probably had that ready and rearing to go. As soon as
no. I know how it works. What he had his Discord. I know exactly what he was doing. He had his Discord channel up, and he had the think tank of his Discord viewers, people in his Discord, spamming his channel with links to show what I was saying to be wrong. You understand? And that was probably one of the first videos that he came up, and he had to ad hoc explain the video as he showed it because he's an idiot.
I mean,
and then he used that as proof of gravity.
To me, it sounds more like he probably had you been on debates before?
Me?
Before this? Yeah.
They've been in this for 3-4 years. I'm one of the top.
Okay. So you've been on debates.
Debaters on the Non Sequitur show. They named me the number 2 best guest on their show history.
Okay.
I've been debating this topic for years.
Okay, so he'd probably heard someone told him, "Oh, these are the 3 arguments that Wotan uses." And they might have admitted the gravity part, or maybe he thought that maybe he's disingenuous and thought that you wouldn't bring the gravity, have the gravity caveat when you.
I'm not going to bring gravity into a flat Earth debate. Yeah, I'm not going to bring gravity.
Maybe
that's pretty stupid to believe. You're just assuming everything. Bro.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying there's heaps of reasons why he
disingenuous with me, and you're making me not want to continue this conversation.
No, I literally.
Because in the beginning you were being honest. In the beginning you were inquiring. In the beginning you were asking honest questions. But now you're just a pile of excuses right now.
I literally just said that maybe Team Skeptic was being disingenuous.
You are a pile of excuses right now.
I'm just saying that have you heard the
No.
Okay, Hanlon's razor goes, never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity.
Okay.
So essentially, or by ignorance. So what it seems like to me is that Team Skeptic was somewhat ignorant of the gravity caveat that you put at the end of things, right? And so when with the gravity caveat, he thought he didn't expect that, or he didn't think about that.
I made it explicitly clear by virtue of gravity alone. I always include that at the end of my proposition.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Statements as explicitly clear as I possibly ever can for the idiots who believe you're on a spinning space rock. Do you understand me? My arguments cannot possibly be any simpler. Yeah. I have the simplest arguments on YouTube for flat Earth. It doesn't get any simpler. I am the most pragmatic fucking flat earther that there is. I don't want to hear none of your shit. Did you understand me? You're an idiot.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that maybe he was unaware of.
Excuses for him. That's all you're doing. You're just making excuses.
I will admit that he jumped the gun way too quickly there. Right? He basically.
He didn't jump the gun.
As soon as you had finished, he was immediate. It was almost like he did. It was almost like he was ready to go before you added the gravity caveat.
Because he explicitly said, this is gravity, this is gravity, this is gravity. He said it 3 times in the video. So don't tell me that he didn't know that he wanted me to prove adhesion to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone from gravity, okay? Because he said explicitly in the video, this is gravity, this is gravity, this is gravity, okay? So don't give me none of that bullshit.
He didn't.
You're lying.
He didn't say that it was.
You are lying to me.
He didn't say that this is gravity. Do I need to replay it?
Excuse me. You want to repeat that?
He didn't.
You want to play it again?
Yeah, I'll play it again. He didn't.
Listen. Again, I swear to God, I'm gonna leave.
Okay, when he says that this is gravity, point it out immediately, and I'll. I'm gonna play from here, right? And as soon as this is actually somewhat before the first link, so as soon as he says this is gravity, stop me. I'll admit that I'm I'll admit that I was wrong, right? If you can point out when he says this is gravity.
You're wrong, and you're admitting that Team Skeptic is.
I'll admit that I was wrong about what Team Skeptic said, and I'll admit that Team Skeptic was wrong about what he was claiming.
Beautiful. Play
right? Okay.
I'm amazed that oftentimes these
the first
are
link,
like the most difficult to mod.
Yeah, this is like only 10 seconds before
like
the first
you guys
link.
have gusto, and I love it. It's like
Let me tell you something. I am doing my absolute best to remain enjoyable, to not devolve. So, I just want you to know that. Let me see. You can share my screen now.
Here we go.
yes.
Okay. It'll take a second for me to get it perfectly lined up, but there it is right there. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. We had this issue last time, and I hope I figured it out now. Okay. So are you sharing my screen right now?
I am. We have
Hold on.
Oh, this is great.
Hold on.
Oh, this is
Wotan.
fantastic.
Wotan.
Oh, this is
Alright,
fantastic.
one second.
This-
I just have to
the
finish
fake
screen
ISS.
a little better.
This is fantastic. Oh, this is such a victory for Flat Earth, man. Let me tell you. Oh, this is beautiful.
So
Wait.
let me get this
Can't do
straight.
it on
Before,
Earth, can
hold
you?
on.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Of course you can't do it on Earth, you idiot.
Of
We have
course,
gravity
because you can't,
here.
because you're
We
not-
have
you're
gravity here, right?
anti-science.
Right.
You're
Again, you want to
anti-science,
straw
that's why.
man. You're
You have an
gonna straw
anti-scientific
man the.
belief, that's why.
You're gonna straw man.
You're anti-science.
Wait. All right. Well, let's let him present his
All right,
case, though,
so-
Wotan.
Yeah. So here you go. So this right here is in space, and watch.
Yeah,
They put
sure.
a camera on the inside of it. Water adheres to it, just like they ask. But of course, you've already heard him, James. You've already heard him. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that because it's in fucking space. What the fuck is this going on?
sorry.
It's in space.
Sorry, you haven't proved the first experiment, so therefore this is totally fake. I mean, obviously this is fake.
Your first experiment was a straw man, bro. We already talked about this. We
No,
don't
it's not
have
a straw man.
We
continuous.
can't
Yes,
go
we
back
do.
to.
You
Let's
cannot
not go back to that one.
have
Let's not go
air
back to
pressure
that
in a
one.
vacuum.
Let's not,
That-
please.
I told
let's-
you, man. He just.
I
You
beg of
cannot
you,
have air pressure in a
please.
vacuum. It is the definition of
Let's-
pressure that has to be in a container.
Let's not go back to that one.
You're a moron.
I mean, we could talk about it another time, but just to keep going on this path, this new path has been a good one, as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I needed to share right there. Exactly what he asked for. Now how to. I don't know how to stop sharing it again, though.
No problem. I got it on my side. Let's see. Da-da-da. Okay, and then. Okay, we're back. Thanks for your patience. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So
You know,
now
you
that
can do
we've
that
got through
zero-G
that
planes
one,
too, right?
now that we've done that one, yeah, they're on 0G. That's
No,
exactly
but you can't
what's
do that on
going
a
on.
zero-G plane, so that doesn't
Do you
prove
see
anything.
how long? No, you're wrong. Do you see how long this this fucking thing is going for? It's 1 minute and 39
30
seconds. Yeah. How many 0G planes do you know that go into free fall for 99 seconds? In
Space
fact,
is
this one goes
fake.
on for 2 minutes
Can't
and
have air
21
pressure in a
seconds.
vacuum, sorry.
So
Can't have air pressure in a
41
vacuum,
seconds.
space is fake.
Hold on. One
Can't
second.
have air
You
pressure
can
in a
say it
vacuum,
all
space
you
is
want.
fake.
You can
Sorry.
say it all you want.
I
but you
will
don't
say it all I want.
understand-
Sorry, I'm all about
It's a
science.
straw
Sorry,
man.
we can't.
It's a
Well,
straw
let's-
You
man.
can't show me a
let's
scientific
just-
experiment, you're anti-science.
Zotan, we just have to let's let him kind of finish his kind of
Okay.
case, and then we'll
Well,
come
no,
back to you.
that's he asked for it and I gave it to him. Unless his only refutation is going to be, oh, they can't do this.
So
on
is that
Earth."
an experiment?
No,
Where's the
it was just a
independent variable, the
demonstration.
dependent variable? Where's the
It was
how
a
are you proving that the
demonstration.
camera is the
It was
is
a
causing the gravity?
It was a
It's
demonstration.
a demonstration. Okay, so you don't have a scientific experiment.
You didn't. You just wanted to see fucking water sticking to a ball. In fact, you were so dumb that you wanted to see that on Earth, as if that would prove that it's possible for gravity to be
Of
real.
course. Of course it
Oh
would.
my God.
That's what I'm all about.
So
That's
you're so
that's
dumb.
natural
Let me
science. That's
tell
what we
you-
want. We want things
Wotan,
done
let me
on
tell you how
Earth.
dumb you are. Okay.
Not in fake space
You
that
want-
nobody can see.
Hold on, Wotan. Let me tell you how dumb you are. Okay.
I still
You
haven't
want us
heard
to
it.
show that gravity's real by showing that the Earth's gravity doesn't affect the water sticking to the ball. Do you understand that? Do you understand how straw
The
man you're doing?
presupposition.
How much?
Again, the presupposition fallacy.
How is that a presupposition fallacy?
You're just presupposing that there's water around the spherical Earth to prove that there's water around the spherical Earth.
Okay, I still haven't heard it. Like, do you have a particular point?
You might have skipped past it. You might have went past it in the beginning.
I played.
I mean, we literally heard it when you first played it. We all heard it.
Like, if I'll re-click the link that you. I'll reuse the link that you actually. That's 99.6. It'll be, that's 896. It'll be 990. All right, and if I go here, right? It's still.
Of course you can't do it on Earth, you idiot. We have gravity here. We have gravity here, right? Right. Again, you want to.
Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're talking about right there?
What?
Is that what you're talking about right there? What was just said? Where it said, of course you can't do it on Earth. We have gravity here.
No, he literally repeated himself. This is gravity. This is gravity.
We listened to it for ages, and he never said this is gravity. Like,
when you first played the clip, he said it.
I literally just I'll reload. Like, this is where when I first played the clip. This is what this is the exact timestamp that I first played the clip from.
Of course you can't do it on Earth, you idiot. We have gravity here. We have gravity here, right? Right. Again, you want to straw man. You're going to straw man the.
That's why.
That's what played the first time I played it. I mean, you can go back into the stream and watch. Like, that's literally the exact thing that played. You can go back through the VOD.
He used this video to prove that water can adhere to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone. Do you understand that?
I think he used this video to show that water could adhere to the exterior of a shape.
But that wasn't my claim.
Yeah, and I can freely admit that it is a straw man, somewhat.
But I made my claim as explicitly simple as I possibly could.
Yeah, and
so either A, he's a fucking idiot and he didn't understand what I said, or B, he's wrong that this doesn't prove gravity. One or the other. You choose one.
So yeah.
A? Yeah, choose A.
So what? Two options, like A, that he's an idiot, or B. What was
A, he's an idiot and he didn't hear what I said. And my explicit definition of my proposition, that I've explicitly said my proposition 4 times in this debate. My opening statement, I said explicitly what I wanted. Right before he showed this video, I told him explicitly what I wanted to see. And this is what he shows me to prove, that water can adhere to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone. This is not gravity. This has nothing to do with gravity whatsoever, period. Nothing.
Yeah.
There is no gravity here.
And
do you understand that?
Yeah, I can admit that this is... I can admit that this doesn't actually directly address your claim.
Oh, he was wrong about him showing his proof to prove that gravity is adhering to the exterior of a shape by virtue of gravity alone. This is not an experiment or even a demonstration. Showing or even demonstrating anything that water can adhere to the exterior shape by virtue of gravity alone.
I can freely admit that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna sit here and say
how you look at it.
Your argument. Like,
it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, like, and I'm not gonna say that. Oh, yeah, this shows that water sticks to a ball due to gravity.
Ryan,
I will say that I will show
in the chat. You were completely full of shit. I said it explicitly right before you showed this video. Why don't you go in the Discord chat and look at the link? I said explicitly the second that before he showed this video.
Yeah.
By virtue of gravity alone. I have not changed my argument in 4 years.
I think we're just going around in the circles because we don't necessarily disagree too much on this. The only thing that I would disagree is I don't think that Team Skeptic was deliberately trying to be like, okay, I've got a gotcha. I've got a gotcha, and I'll have a gotcha by strawmanning him. Right,
he did say at the end of it, he was like, "Oh, this is exactly what he asked for. This is exactly what he asked for."
Yeah, and he probably linked it to some of the other arguments that Flat Earthers made.
Now you're just assuming what you're just assuming his position. See, that's the problem.
That's why I say never attribute to Malice what can be adequately
his position. You have no idea what his position was. Assuming his position to fit your
saying
your belief.
You know Hanlon's razor, right?
You're assuming his position. I don't care what Hammond's razor. You're assuming his position.
Okay, I'm going to say 2 things, right? First off, this we should probably actually go back to the other topics because arguing over this, right, is non-productive.
But you see what you're doing right now? I have completely destroyed every single proof of water adhering to the exterior shape, of air pressure existing in a vacuum, of space not being able to be bent and time not being able to be bent. And then what you say is, oh, well, this doesn't matter because we're just going to...
Well, this argument.
So where is the point where you just understand it? Where you believe it's a belief system?
First off, I feel like we've dwelled on this far too long, because we're currently talking about what someone said in a different debate, right? I mean, if you want to talk,
it's a different debate about the same exact thing that I've been saying for 4 years. It's no different
about whether someone presented reasonable evidence, and I can say
these are the top YouTube flat Earth debunkers on YouTube that have debated. These are the best ones. This all they got. Red's Rhetoric, Fight the Flat Earth, Team Skeptic.
Have you debated as I said earlier, and I said
Conspiracy Cat, the former flat earther. Well, who else?
Like Conspiracy Cats wasn't a former flat earther. Conspiracy Cats has never been a flat earther. He's actually a science teacher. There's AB Science.
Nathan Oakley has him quoted saying that vacuum cannot exist. Air pressure cannot exist in a vacuum. Is literally quoted. He uses that on his streams all the time. Conspiracy Cats has definitely said that repeatedly.
I mean, I've heard Conspiracy Cats say something similar. Like, actually, one thing I was going to get into, because I had a feeling that we're going to go down the air pressure in a vacuum route, right? So let's actually get back to debating between you and I, rather than debating what someone else said and trying to go, well, actually his motives were this or that and that. So yeah, when it comes to one thing that Conspiracy Cats said about pressure, right, is if you have pressure in a balloon, and let's say that pressure is so many pascals, and then you pop the balloon, what happens to that pressure?
It expands.
Yeah,
into the space.
Yeah, it expands to fill the space. Correct. So why then does that not always happen?
What do you mean?
So we can, if we go up in the atmosphere, higher up in the atmosphere, we don't get that same effect.
I understand what you mean.
So as you go higher up in the atmosphere, you don't get the effect of... oh, wait, there's a super chat.
Wotan, show us evidence. You've destroyed Nada.
So yeah, like...
You don't understand my position.
So as you go higher up into the atmosphere, right, you get less pressure. Like if pressure always expanded into areas, if high pressure always expanded into areas of lower pressure, as you go up higher in the atmosphere, you should expect to experience the same pressure, which is not what happens.
So you're saying that if you put a balloon up in the atmosphere and you pop it, the air doesn't expand?
The air would probably, the air would probably expand. But,
probably? No, I don't do it probably.
But why?
It's either a yes or no situation. It happens or it doesn't.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, it does, because when you have helium balloons,
A or not A.
It does. It does expand. But why doesn't the pressure down here expand up to there?
Why doesn't the pressure? Because I don't know. What do you mean? It's just the density of the air.
Except that there's no reason for it. Like the reason why the air down here is less dense is like it's the same to do with pressure. Like it's not because of any particular property that the air down here has.
Well, going down, so that could whatever, but
so
you don't know that it's gravity. You don't know that it's the bending of space time.
Yeah, like
we don't know space is a vacuum.
Like,
and
so as I've said
there's no experiment whatsoever to prove that could ever happen in the first place.
As I'll say, like, showing this whole argument of gas pressure next to a vacuum, that doesn't disprove a globe Earth, right?
No, it does.
No, it doesn't. Like, if the globe Earth was contained by a container,
so we're living in a what do you call one of those water globes?
Snow globe.
There's a spherical glass container around us, containing us from the atmosphere.
Wait, does that sound ridiculous to you?
That's what you believe? Is that what you just said?
No, it's not what I believe. But does that sound ridiculous to you?
I think that if you think we're living in some kind of a water globe, then
you think that sounds ridiculous.
Right.
then why is having a dome that has like maybe you don't believe in a dome, but why does having a dome over us not sound ridiculous to you?
I don't know what the dome is made of. I don't know
Bull.
anything about it whatsoever. I don't make.
Planarwalk. Tell this guy he's welcome to debate cats on my channel. Thumbs up.
Did you hear that?
Cool.
That was from Simon Dan. So yeah, you're welcome to debate cats on Simon Dan's channel if you'd like.
Cool. I'll think about it.
Okay. I'm guessing you'll be able to just email Simon Dan or something like that. So yeah. So you're just saying, okay. So why are you assuming that it's like why is it any more ridiculous that the same thing that you're proposing for whatever could be around the Earth, and I know that you're not proposing much, but whatever could be containing the atmosphere, why is it not all that ridiculous that it could be around a globe? Like, why is... It's just because you don't believe that the Earth is a globe? Or?
It's just things... I don't know. It's just my subjective belief. That's just, I'm not making it... I think that's just a little more preposterous than just having a flat Earth with some kind of, I don't know, out there, but I just think it's a little more ridiculous to think that we're on this round spinning, flying, shooting whole Earth, and there's like this glass, we're surrounded by this fucking glass container. Like, I just think that's stupid. I don't know. I just don't think that's happening.
So,
that's just my subjective.
Get somewhat productive. Could the container on the flat Earth be a force? Like, no physical container, just a force that contains the atmosphere to the Earth. Is that possible?
The container?
Right? Which contains the atmosphere to the Earth.
No, but you need to demonstrate that. That's the problem.
Drop a phone and it falls.
No.
Downforce.
No.
Downforce proved.
No, let's not be stupid. You have to prove that this downforce, can hold the atmosphere of the Earth against the vacuum of space.
Okay, do you know how particles work?
Explain. What do you mean? That's a pretty broad question.
Okay, so particles act like objects most of the time. So if you've got just say you've got a carbon dioxide molecule, you could fire it up, and it will. If you were to fire it at something, right, eventually it would actually curve back towards Earth. Like if you were to fire it at an angle, it would curve back towards the force of Earth's dropity. We'll say dropity.
It's just ridiculous, man.
Like,
you just can't believe anything without this.
Whatever downforce there is,
a conceptual medium. You just can't. It's just amazing.
What I'm saying is, like, whatever force there is, it will affect that particle. Like, particles can be affected by forces, like individual particles.
That's what you believe. Can you show me an experiment to prove that in a vacuum chamber?
Particles were affected by forces just then because I blew on them.
Can you prove what you're telling me with an experiment in a vacuum chamber?
That particles are affected by forces?
That you have a globe in a vacuum chamber, and this globe, by gravity alone, it's a whole an atmosphere on it, and it's inside of a vacuum chamber. Can you do that?
Well, like in a vacuum chamber, like gravity would be a little bit too weak. But I could. One thing.
Can't
debate. That's the question, isn't it?
So here's something that I'd love to be able to do. I'd love to take gas like sulfur hexafluoride and put it in a vacuum chamber, see what happens. Because I'm pretty sure that the pressure at the bottom of the vacuum chamber would be higher than the pressure at the top of the vacuum chamber. Because sulfur hexafluoride is a lot heavier. But I could be wrong. I'd love to be able to do that experiment to see if there's... one person did say about FTFE, and I know that you... I know what response you would have to that. But, like... we know that gases are impacted by a force. Like, if gases aren't impacted by forces, then how do you explain the pressure gradient?
I'm not saying that gases are not affected by forces.
Okay, so if we agree that gases are affected by forces, then we can agree that a pressure gradient. And I'm not saying that this pressure gradient can't exist on a flat Earth. If there's a force on a flat Earth, like a downward force on a flat Earth, then it's like, okay, yes, the pressure gradient can occur. It doesn't have to be gravity. In the globe Earth model, yes, it's gravity, but in flat Earth, it doesn't have to be gravity. And eventually, you'll go up to a point, whether it be a flat Earth or a globe Earth, and you'll get up to a point where you're virtually in a vacuum.
How do you know that?
Because if there's a pressure gradient, eventually you get to a point where you're in something that's effectively a vacuum. Like by the...
You're assuming that without any first-hand knowledge that that's the case.
I mean, there's a pressure gradient. As you go higher up, the atmosphere gets thinner. Eventually, unless you can give a reason why it doesn't continue, why it would stop at a certain point, then eventually you're going to have to hit a vacuum, or something that would be considered a vacuum.
There's no first-hand knowledge of space as a vacuum.
Bull.
Completely violates every single thing.
CRT televisions work by using a magnetic force to move elementary light particles. There is your experiment, Wotan.
So, did you hear that?
Light particles? I don't know what that has to do with the air on the Earth.
It uses... CRT televisions work by using magnetic force to move elementary light particles. So essentially what they're saying is that it moves particles by magnetism. So and magnetism is one of the 4 fundamental forces.
Magnetism is 10 to the 36 times more powerful than gravity. So again, you're doing the same thing like Fight the Flat Earth does. He just extrapolates the most extreme measures you can possibly imagine, and the only way that he could prove that an atmosphere can be held inside of a vacuum chamber is he has to use a force that's 10 to the 36 times more powerful than gravity. Just absolutely, you can't even make a real world analogy of the difference in power of electromagnetism and gravity. There's just nothing that you can possibly even think of.
Okay.
It's like trying to compare. Excuse me, let me just make a quick analogy. It's just like trying to compare an ant to the power of Superman Prime. You know, the most uncanon, unrealistic version of Superman, where he's the only thing that I got is like 10 to the 36 times. You can't even think of these numbers.
Okay, let me
the magnitude of the strength of you can't even think of it.
Let me ask you something, right? Can snow knock down a building?
Snow?
Yeah, snow. Snow is as in like snow. Like, can snow knock down a building?
Depends of the weight of the snow. Depends on the structure of the building. Depends what the building is made of. Depends on a bunch of different factors. Depends if there's wind outside. I'm pretty sure if there's snow in the building, there's gonna be a shit ton of wind outside.
Yeah,
right? There's a whole bunch of different variables to take into account into that.
Okay, so like I've heard of a building that was knocked down by having snow on it, right? Now, one person could argue, right, that an earthquake is a far more powerful force to knock down the building. Now, this building managed to resist an earthquake, but it didn't resist snow. Now, one person could argue, well, earthquakes are far more devastating and far more destructive than snow. But what we've got to consider is the amount of snow. So the amount of gravity on Earth is far different than saying, if the amount of gravity that a magnet exerts is obviously far less than the amount of gravity.
Your analogy is false. Let me tell you why your analogy is false.
Why?
Your analogy is false is because you don't know the structural integrity of the two buildings. In order to make this analogy correct, you would have to say that one building falls because a 20-ton cannonball, the same exact building. You have to make everything the same thing. What do you mean? Same building, right?
It's the same building. Like, this building resisted an earthquake, but didn't resist snow.
No. You have
it's one building.
two of the same buildings. You have two of the same buildings made by two of the exact same materials with the same quality of welds in between the joints and then the I-beams and all of that. Same bricks, everything absolutely just literally carbon copy. Okay, and you have one building that has a 20-ton cannonball fall on top of it, and you have another building with, you know, a 16th of an inch of snow on top of it, and you say that the building fell because a 16th of an inch of snow. I don't think the building fell. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so the problem here is that what you're comparing, right, is you're comparing, okay, the absolute force of gravity is way weaker than the absolute force of magnetism. And you'd be right. But the problem here is the amount of gravity exerted by a large object like the Earth, that becomes fast... I mean, it's not entirely fast stronger than if I had a magnet. Like, that magnet can overcome the gravity of the Earth. But the Earth is exerting so much gravity that force is much stronger than...
But gravity's a constant. It doesn't matter.
Well, the force of gravity exerted by the Earth is, you know, if... Like, you could say...
It depends on the diameter of the object also. It doesn't matter, because if you take the volume of the Earth and then you compress it to the size of a basketball, the gravity is going to be significantly more dramatic, right?
Okay, so the force of gravity exerted on other objects is not constant. There's a formula for it, right, which takes into account the mass of the object.
But what I'm saying, the size of the object matters.
Yeah, but the gravitational force when adjusting for like things like mass and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that you can say that that's a constant, like g of one object. So a huge mass will have a far larger gravitational pull than a small mass.
Listen, electromagnetism is 10 to the 36 times more powerful than gravity. Let's just say, you know, Earth is really massive. Okay, so the electromagnetic force is only, say, you know, 10 to the 35 times more powerful than the gravity of the Earth. So it doesn't make no difference whatsoever.
Okay. Let me.
I'm not going to grant. Let me ask. Earth is 100 times greater. I'm not going to grant.
Okay. Let me ask you something. However many times more powerful than when I. Does that exert however much times more force on a on something that attracts to it, like a piece of iron or something, right? Does that exert that much more force than me being pulled to the ground, or?
I didn't understand what you were saying.
Like, if I'm being pulled to the ground right now by some force, whether it's gravity or not, does a magnet exert however much more force that you're saying magnetism is more than gravity? Does that exert that much more force than the pull that I'm experiencing towards Earth?
The magnet on...
Yeah, like I've got some magnets here. Is this exerting... What was the number?
10 to the 36.
Okay, 10 to the 36. So is this magnet being attracted to this 10 to the 36 times as much as I'm being pulled to the ground? Oh, I've got...
I don't know.
The answer is no, by the way. Because if it was, I would... Oh, I just realised my camera was off. I can turn my camera back on to... There we go. So if this was being attracted to this with 10 to 36 times as much force as I'm being pulled towards the ground with, then I would not be able to pull this off, because that is far more... That'd be...
Well, you're talking about a regular magnet. We're talking about electromagnetism. Right.
And how do you think that this sticks to this? Do you think it sticks with, like... What force do you... it's a... magnetism is the electromagnetic force is in magnets as well.
Right.
So do you think that this is being attracted to there with the same amount of force, or with 10 to the 36 times more force than I'm being pulled to the Earth with?
It depends on the magnetic properties of what you're attracting the magnet to also. Right? There's different materials that have different rates of magnetism, electromagnetic attraction.
So the answer is no. Now, something like Earth is a giant magnet or something, then we'd be able to get to... I mean that wouldn't even follow. But the problem is that you're comparing the absolute values of things, right? The Earth...
Excuse me for using the absolute values, sorry.
Well, the problem is when you compare absolute values, like the absolute value of how of the strength of gravity compared to the absolute value of the strength of magnetism, you're not going to get this result of what should be happening. The problem is that you've got other variables that you need to take into account, like how far away from the center of mass you are, how much mass one thing has. For gravity, for magnetism, you've got to take into consideration, does the other object have its own magnetic field that it's all the spins aligned the same way in the other object? Because if they are, then you're going to have a much greater attraction. So you've got all these other factors that you need to take into account, like the mass of the object of each object in gravity is it's pointing the same way in an object, and magnetism is another big thing. Once you take into all those, we can start making predictions. But if you this is 10 to the 30 times more stronger than gravity, then of course that's going to make gravity look weak. Because gravity is a weak force that needs a lot of mass to be able to become strong. But you're comparing apples and oranges.
No, I'm just taking you just Google electromagnetism versus gravity. That's what they tell you. There's no apples and oranges. Everybody knows that to be the case.
Yeah, but if you want to compare the gravity of the Earth compared to
Okay, so it's gonna be 10. It's gonna be 10 to the 35 times more power. It's not gonna be 10 to the 34. That's ridiculous.
Well, if you want to compare the gravity of the Earth,
how much am I going to grant you?
Okay, the only time. Okay, the only time this is going to. So the only time that this is going to be useful is if you're comparing the gravity of the Earth to a steel, or not a steel ball, to an iron ball, to an iron magnet the same size as the Earth. That's the only time that this is going to be relevant, or unless you're doing particular experiments that are way beyond what you and I would be able to even understand. Like, there's probably some experiments that do use all this kind of thing.
For that?
If I did, I would probably understand a bit more. Then
I think you're just kind of spewing that ad hoc. I don't think that's really true.
That there are experiments that take this into account.
And citation.
I said if there's experiments that take this into account. I didn't say that there were. I said
so. You just that whole explanation was just 100% any reason to believe that you said it.
I can't remember if there are. Like, maybe someone in chat can say, "Oh yeah, there is a experiment that takes it into account," but I don't think there. I don't think that there is, from what I can recall. Like,
listen,
to my knowledge.
I'm getting tired. All I'm saying is it's absolutely fallacious science to use a force which we know, for example, for a fact, is extremely proportional. Agree to that. Whatever numbers you want to throw out there, whatever, I don't care. But we can both agree that electromagnetism is far more powerful than the force of gravity. Everybody knows that to be the case. So by you using electromagnetism and plasma, which is charged towards electromagnetism, that's what it is. It's fucking particles that are charged towards electromagnetism. So it's like you have this electromagnetic force which is far more powerful than gravity, and then you take these elements which are attracted to the electromagnetism. So it's like you have this doubling effect of this attractive force, and then you're using that to say, oh well, look, the atmosphere of the Earth can adhere to the exterior of the Earth in a vacuum because these two absolutely preposterous, ridiculously powerful forces can do it in a lab, which is completely unrealistic and is not observed anywhere in reality whatsoever. It is only man-made, and it doesn't accurately resemble anything whatsoever as to anything what's happening with the Earth and the atmosphere and the vacuum of space. It's just fallacious science. It's not real science.
I mean, you got to take into consideration the amount of. Do you know the units of force?
It's just ridiculous.
The units.
But why can't you just agree to that?
No. Like it's.
But you just
it's
know
relevant though.
True.
Like,
And now you're trying to gaslight me, and you're trying to say,
no, I'm not.
"Oh, well,
I'm not trying to gaslight you. Do you know
do you know that? And do you know
no,
this? If I don't know it, and then you say, "Oh, well, look, you're too stupid to know it," and therefore
no,
your
like
argument is void.
I'm asking you. Like, you'll if you don't know it, then you'll learn something. Do you know? Yeah. Do you know what the unit of force is?
The unit of force. What force?
The unit of force. Like, whenever you whenever you want to calculate force, there's a unit that you use. Do you know what that unit is?
No.
Okay, it's called newtons. All right. So when calculating a force, you calculate how many newtons are exerted on an object. So if you have an object and you throw it, you might say that there's X amount of newtons, and newtons are calculated by the equation F equals ma, which is F equals mass times acceleration, and that's how you get the amount of force that is applied to an object. Now, if you want to come up with apples to apples, right, then the best thing to do is always work out, okay, how many newtons of force are being applied to this object, and then you go, okay, well, this amount of newtons of force is being applied to this object, and this amount of newtons of force is being applied to this object. Okay, we've got that. If one's drastically different, like let's say the electromagnetism one is way higher than the gravity one, it's like, okay, yeah, like then you might be able to say like gravity is exerting 80 newtons to this object, whereas electromagnetism is asserting 150 newtons of force to this object, so we can't compare it, or something like that. Then you might have an argument, right? But just saying, oh, there's X amount of newtons applied to, just saying that, electromagnetism is 10 to the 150 times stronger than this, then yeah, that's a bit of a, then that's not, 10 to 34, I think, or 32 or something, times stronger than the gravitational pull of Earth, or gravity. That's not really arguing from something that can be that we can really use to make predictions.
Same thing, like I just said, the electromagnetism is exponentially times more powerful than gravity, period. So you're using a force which is exponentially times more powerful than gravity to prove that gravity can do what the force that is exponentially times more powerful than it can do. It is fallacious reasoning. It's like me trying to prove that a golf cart can go just as fast as a Maserati because they both have an engine.
Except
they're two completely different engines with two completely different properties, with two completely different, and the way the engines are made, it's completely different. Just because they're engines and they operate on the same, they both attract things, which you could probably make that analogy to, electromagnetism attracts things towards it, and fake gravity attracts things towards it. So you can make the analogy that the engines are the same, they operate the same way with the same forces.
Except the problem,
but they are completely magnitudes times different, and that you just can't say that a golf cart can go 0 to 60 in 4 seconds like the same way a Maserati can.
Except there's still a problem with
it. Doesn't work.
Except there's still a problem there. Like we could take in wheels. Like, just let's say that the Maserati had like really tiny wheels, and the golf cart had some huge wheels which didn't weigh much. You'd see the golf cart go faster.
You just can't understand. It's just cognitive dissonance. You just can't.
I'm literally.
And I understand that you have a brand that
you're
trying
in the debate. Is there ever demonstrable, observable, empirical evidence for water adhering to the outside of an object? No. Ding.
Cool. So.
No, I'm confused.
That's literally the gist of it. Listen, I'm getting tired. I've been debating for like 6 hours already, man.
Yeah, it's starting to get late here too. What time is it over in New York?
It's 2:45 a.m.
2:45 a.m. Okay, that'd be a lot later than it is here.
All right.
All right.
I'm getting tired. I'm gonna go to bed. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, same here.
We agree to disagree. Whatever. I'm just gonna end it on that and
yeah.
not even stir the pot anymore.
Yeah, well, as both Simon, Dan, and James said, like, you're welcome to try and debate Conspiracy Cats. I reckon he'd be a great person to debate, and also AB Science would be another person who I think might be interested. Well, he'd be more interested in discussion than debate. So, yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
I'll contact you on Discord if I ever want to debate.
Okay. Take care.
I'll see you then. Take care, buddy.
Alrighty. Let me just check. Your answer to me in the debate: is there ever demonstrable, observable, empirical evidence for water adhering to the outside of an object? No. I'm confused what he means. Oh, and there's a ding. Let me bring up my dinger. So one thing that I have been doing, and I people are welcome to come in. Like, I'll probably go for like 12 more minutes, right? And then I'm gonna get some food because I'm starting to get hungry. So yeah, I actually had a couple of sounds. So I had this one, and I also had this one prepared.
I'm not prepared for that.
Just in case he ever said something like, "I'm not prepared for that," because I remember him pulling that in the. Maybe I'll have that just in case. I didn't think I'd have to use it, but I had it just there, just in case. I might have it for future debates. I'm going to keep this soundboard up but I should honestly probably change the. I should honestly probably change the way that it's set up. Southern Cross says, "Well done, Planarwalk. Thank you for the. Thank you. I didn't realize that I did too well, especially at the end there when I was getting. At the end, it seemed that I could actually tell that he was getting tired because he wasn't quite as upbeat, and so at the end it was. You should get the sound clip. I don't have evidence to back this up. Good idea. I was going to have Gravity as a sound clip. Like, I'm going to add a whole lot of sound clips to this sound. Oh wait, I can only have 3. I need a better soundboard. That was a direct quote of his answer to my super chat. No reference to. Oh, yes. Wotan, show us evidence you've destroyed Nada, and then your answer to me. Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. And then some super chats that I didn't get to, like Wotan. Sorry about this area 85 restorations. I didn't get to this because I was too. I was too wrapped up in the debate. But I work at a rocket test and launch site as an engineer. I have access to anything that I want. Is it not possible that I'm being tricked, or am I part of the conspiracy? I'm very sorry that I didn't ask Wotan that. I should have. Yeah, like, that's the problem with Wotan. He bases everything on 3 things, right? And there's I know that there's a and here's the problem with flat earthers in general. Use abductive reasoning at all. And you can get abductive reasoning to, you can use some really good things with abductive reasoning. Abductive reasoning is how you get a computer from one transistor, right? Like, if I've got a computer, right? A computer will have multiple transistors. Now I can say, okay, if I've got like these 5 transistors that are all working, right, I can go ahead and add another 5, another 5, another 5, another 5, another 5, and they'd continue to work, right? And someone like Wotan would go, well, no, just because you've shown that 5 transistors can work doesn't mean that you've shown that 25 transistors will work. And it's like, well, actually, 25 transistors will work in the way that I expect, because, I mean, that's because 5 works in the way that I expect. The abductive reasoning says that if I use enough transistors, I can have a circuit board or a Turing machine. Obviously, it goes a lot more. Obviously, there's a lot more than just transistors, but for the basic CPU kind of deal, and that's a problem.
Well done, Planarwalk.
That came in way too late. Oh my god, that came in way too late. Way too late. How long has this been going? How long has this been going? 3 hours. Although we had 2 hours on modern day debates. At least I've finally gone up against Wotan. That's him down. Anyone want to know there's 5 people that, aside from Wotan, that I want to go up against, right? 5 people that I want to debate against. There is JM Truth. Hopefully Team Skeptic can get me in a debate with him. There's one thing that I want to debate him on. It's a topic, maybe we'll agree and we can do a different topic. It'd be funny if we did agree. So there's JM Truth. And obviously it will be on Flat Earth. There is... Who is it? I forgot. Nathan Thompson that I want to debate. Although I feel like he doesn't want to debate me because he saw me on against Wotan. And, you know, I'm generally very calm against people. I don't like to over-talk people until it gets to the point where they've been over-talking me. So, you know, then I will gladly over-talk people. Generally, as the debate goes on more and more, usually I get more pumped and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to talk over you. Oh yeah, don't touch your face. I shouldn't touch my face. And then there is Kent Hovind, you know, with his whole water or whatever it is. I can't remember. Well, Kent, yeah, this guy.
I'm not prepared for that.
And that's another person that I want to debate. I want to debate him on... I actually want to dig into his... dig into kinds. That's really what I want to dig into. Because if we can sort out a kind, then I can give evidence for... Nathan is not someone you want to... But I said Nathan Thompson, not Nathan Oakley. Like, at least Nathan Thompson keeps an interruption counter, you know? Every time we interrupt each other, we can, can have a little counter. Every time he interrupts me, I'll put one on the counter, and every time he uses an ad hom, I'll put one on the counter. Although Nathan Thompson and Kent Hovind are basically the same person, so if I debate one of them, I'm basically debating the other. Depends whether it's about Flat Earth or not. Then there is Darth Dawkins. That's someone that I want to debate. And if anyone knows how I can get in contact with him to debate him, please do. I want to debate him because he uses so much word salad to try and confuddle people. But I want to bring the argument right into reality about Christianity. Like, he just uses esoteric things. I've seen a couple of his debates. Or a discussion with Shannon Q, where he was trying to railroad her into a particular thing. You and Ranty would be good. Okay, yeah, Ranty might be... No, don't stoop to his level. It's Nathan Thompson's level. I mean, I can keep I like keeping a track of... Well, I like seeing how many times someone interrupted the other person. That'd be interesting. I think that would be interesting to keep track of. Like, you can... Kent Hovind, forget it, he won't debate live anymore, I think. Oh, okay. Then I might have to just make a video on him. I've tried calling his Dinosaur Adventureland a couple times. I even left my phone number for him. He hasn't gotten back to me on that. But Shannon Q called him out. Darth Dawkins? I did see him debate or discuss with Shannon Q, and yeah, like Shannon Q called. It was kind of entertaining. And then the last person I want to debate is T-Jump, or Tom Jump, I think it is. If you're going to debate against word salad, bring along a big horn that you can use every time the word salad starts. Yeah, basically what Darth Dawkins says is that you need a fundamental I can't remember the exact word syllable, but what it translates to is he thinks that you need a fundamental arbiter of logic or something like that, or something fundamental that that commands things like logic. And my argument is that there's fireworks outside. My argument would be that, well, no, logic is just something that us humans made to accurately try and describe the world. And you know, that's a simple fact. You don't need some grand arbiter of logic. Isn't T-Jump FE millionaire? No, T-Jump is not a flat earther. So my call out to T-Jump would be if T-Jump were to be watching this, I'd say that his argument for objective morality is stupid. Fucking stupid. So essentially, T-Jump, his argument for objective morality is that if something prevents someone from doing something, or if something intrudes on someone else's free will, then it is immoral. So anything that intrudes on someone else's free will is immoral. And he uses this in the optimal world of all worlds case. Everyone could be moral. And it's like, and you got to consider that he would constitute certain things as being immoral, like if you, like me having to stay inside due to coronavirus would be immoral because it impedes on my free will. Me not being able to buy everything that I want because I don't have enough money would be immoral. And like literally anything that, like as far as I understand it, literally anything that impedes on anybody's free will is immoral. And it's like, okay, there's nothing that isn't immoral then in that case. And now he does make an argument that if you choose to have restrictions placed on you, like a speed limit, then that is we can consider the speed limit moral, but only if people choose to have that restriction placed on them. So it's basically a morality of choice, which doesn't really give any. It doesn't really give any kind of, like, if I want to murder someone, like me not being allowed to murder someone isn't immoral. Like if let's say I wanted to murder someone who didn't want to be someone who doesn't want to be murdered. Let's say that's something that I get off. Then it'd be like, okay, under T-Jump's morality system, there's no way to there is no way that we can resolve this if we conflate both actions as equal, right? And yeah, there's no way to get around that, because me not wanting, like, either you're obstructing my free will for not allowing me to murder someone that doesn't want to be murdered, but if you allow that, then I'm murdering someone who doesn't want to be murdered, in which case I'm intruding on someone else's free will. This position is you cannot use it for you cannot use it for objective morality. I'm sorry, but that's something that you cannot objectively argue. So it's really stupid. And I saw this argument when he was arguing with Destiny about it. So he who talks loads says nothing. T-Jump, yeah. I don't know if he does well in flat Earth debates. He may or may not. I think he's an atheist, or at least an agnostic. And I think he debated. Recently on whether Christianity is true. Now I should probably watch some of his other stuff to some of the other debates that he's had, but I don't. I think that his view on morality is way too simplistic. Does not provide any answers to moral questions, but yeah. Anywho, I'm gonna I'm starting to get hungry, so leave a like and subscribe if you like that stream. I'll be if you didn't see the original stream on Modern Day Debates, make sure you go over and check that. Although if you don't like James for some reason, and I don't see why you wouldn't, I'm going to be re-uploading it to my channel because, you know, maybe some people missed it. And maybe some people don't watch Modern Day Debates, but they watch my channel. And I'm always up for trying to give James a little bit more exposure. I know that people do have disagreements with him allowing Nathan Thompson as a moderator, and that maybe lost him a few subscribers today. I don't know, but you know, that's his call to make. I can't say, oh, you should or shouldn't have Nathan Thompson as a moderator, so I'm not going to judge him. Maybe that will lose me a few subscribers as well. I'd honestly rather he didn't, because yeah, there is a few morality things, but I'm not going to judge him for that because, you know, he has his reasons. So I'm not going to say, oh, remove Nathan Thompson as a moderator right now. I'm not going to judge him for that. But anyway, leave a like and subscribe if you like the stream. Leave a comment letting me know what kind of streams you'd like me to do in the future. Like, the last 2 weeks have been after shows, but next week I might do something different. I don't think I have a debate next week. If I do, then it's another after show, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I will see you in the next stream. Between you and me, I really need to learn more songs on keyboard, honestly. Here we go. I haven't learned anything past that. I really should in that tune. I need to actually I should probably use some of this time on lockdown to get better at keyboard.